this, even for people that have listened for like a decade, this is eye-opening, I think. And it's hard for you to do that.
I don't think so. I think people know that I'm very particular about these sorts of things.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. NFL awards, picks, and preview. They are happening this weekend. We will have the full Super Bowl Licks show next Tuesday morning for you with all of our favorite props. And today we're just going to be talking about the awards plus the Cust Corner. And I do need to let you know, if you want a winning pick, a guaranteed winner for the Super Bowl, it's not just tails, as Tim will tell you next week. That I am sure of. It is using code Mayo at Underdog right now. You'll get a free pick for the Super Bowl. That's a guaranteed winner. So if you're new, use code Mayo, sign up at Underdog right now, go do that. Jeff, I am doing a bit of, like, Cam and Rob and I are doing a show again this week, and we're also not doing all of our favorite props. We're going to save that for the week of, obviously. We'll go through a few that we like, but really save the meat and potatoes for the week after. But I did want to do some sort of gold, silver, bronze for different topics. Did you see that I sent that to you? No, you didn't.
Sorry. You think you're going to get something out of Rob next week?
Yeah.
That's like getting, what do you call, from a stone? He even joked with me that he's going to be the person I hate next week.
Explain.
Like this like hardened pro who's going to like say nothing about their positions while having like having like nearly six figures out on the board.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So I was thinking we could go gold, silver, bronze, best Super Bowl city, best Super Bowl party food, best place to watch a game was one that Tim contributed. So if you good people out there have any ideas of what we can do for that show, I want to make it a fun one before we get into the real stuff trying to win money for Super Bowl. Leave it in the comment section. I'd love to be able to hear it. And maybe he's already come up with more ideas. It is Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
That is not my name, but you could ask them, whether they prefer to watch the AFC NFC dodgeball game or the AFC NFC flag football game.
Do you think it's the flag football game to get them all ready for the Olympics?
Definitely. That the Pro Bowl is simply an Olympic trial.
It's not a bad idea. It's better than watching the actual Pro Bowl. Did you see that?
It doesn't really exist.
Did you see that Drake May made the Pro Bowl, but Bo Nix didn't?
Yes, I did.
I don't pay any attention to that.
I don't pay any attention to it either, but it popped up on my feed, and I was like, that's really weird. Russell Wilson made it too.
Yeah, I mean, no one goes.
No, but
everyone.
Honestly, it somehow has gotten worse.
Yeah, but at least
it was better when it was the week after the Super Bowl and an actual game.
Yeah, but the problem is
actually better.
Now, the last, like, our generation, Pro Bowler, like, has no context because everyone gets to, like, the guys who made it but didn't go for injury or still being in the Super Bowl, what have you, their resume will still get the Pro Bowl check mark, as will everyone else essentially who had the ability to go and didn't go, and the guys that did go. It will be it's an unquantifiable thing. Like in the junior say-out era, it was a quantifiable thing.
It doesn't mean anything anymore. What you're trying to say.
For the
we're
resume,
of a generation where there was a real Pro Bowl and they actually played the game. And it was sort of dumb, but at least it was a real football game to some degree. And people actually cared and they showed up and they played the game. And then they decided to move it the week before the Super Bowl. And it started to lose some of its luster because not everybody could participate. And now it's just completely fallen apart. The week after the Super Bowl at Aloha Stadium, where everybody showed up and played, it was an actual event. And we complained about it then, and we had no idea how good we had it.
The thing is, it just used to mean something. Like having that on your resume.
It did.
Now it doesn't even
matter.
All-Pro
were you is the only thing you can
alternate?
Point
to. And All-Pro is almost like too elite, where there's a lot of guys who will have outstanding careers, maybe be the fourth or fifth best player at their position for a generation, but sort of we don't
it's
really
to the
have
point now they should just have Pro Bowl lineups and then don't have the game. And then there's no need to sub in alternates.
the only
Because
guys
like,
that should get the notoriety are the like official first set.
that's all there should be. Like I said, get rid of these. I mean, God knows. They probably get 6 million people to watch the dodgeball game. But no, I just don't understand why we have the Pro Bowl festivities at all. Like, I just
It's
don't
good
know.
now. Not
well,
good now, but this is a good
Like,
idea. What they're
why aren't
doing is
people are
actually
obviously going to watch
idea.
Pebble Beach. They're not going to watch this. They're going to watch Pebble
So
Beach.
that's fine. That's fine. But it's still going to draw a number, and there's a couple corporate sponsors who are going to be.
I get it. But
Who
like,
are
it's
going to
dumb.
be happy? Yeah, no, it's popcorn. It's
Let's
like
just
nothing.
have the real thing.
But when
in
I
3
was a
weeks.
kid, like
I loved it.
the skills competitions were like the best. Now you couldn't pay me to watch one of any league,
I
home run
agree.
derby, NHL, NBA.
I
they're
still
all
tune
just
in for the.
pain.
I'm old school. I still tune in for the Derby because there is literally nothing else on
Sure.
the night of the home run
Yeah.
Derby. But other than that, I'm with you. I do watch a little bit of the baseball All Star Game again for the same
I
reason.
love that game. I watch
For
it.
the same-
Actually,
but
it's like
for
one
the
of the
same
4
reason.
baseball games I bet.
But the fact that
outside
they
of
got
the
rid of,
playoffs.
but now that everyone wears like this uniform for
Yeah.
the American and
No, they
national,
switched
you-
it. They
so
took it
dumb.
back.
They
changed it.
brought it back. So that was the one thing I was going to say is that
Thank God.
the All-Star games, maybe it's just a generational thing. We just have so much more now. It's not like when we grew up, there was Red Zone and Sunday Ticket, and we were able to watch all these players at all the time, or NHL Center Ice package, or the MLB.com package, and the Apple package, whatever it might be. You just didn't get to see all these guys play all the time. So when you saw them in the All-Star game, it really did mean something. Like, if like we grew up, Geoff, like watching Jays games over and over, you'd be familiar with Roberto Alomar and Paul Molitor, and it was really exciting to see them in the game. And the only time you would really ever see John Kruk would be in the World Series or in the playoffs, and you get to see
It was-
these one guys
You
on a
wanted to
single
watch
night.
Randy Johnson pitch? Randy Johnson, you didn't get to see unless the Jays were playing the M's.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy to think. Like, obviously, there was like Sports Center and there were like highlights, but like we did spend like a small part of our life where you didn't see it. Like, seeing the guy in the All-Star game was the first time he came to life outside of like a newspaper.
That went on from like the early 90s when I started following sports until like 2005.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Just
long.
about 2003, 2004, like right around there. It was a long stretch.
Well, you were probably a very late internet adopter, so I don't want to argue with your numbers, but yeah, in terms
I wasn't
of like
you're right. I
1990,
wasn't watching
then right.
Brewers Pirates games on my computer in 2002. I guess you were.
Okay, no, you're right. Neither was I. I'm not claiming that, but it felt things were very much accessible and honestly, by a point, at least where I lived, we have it so good. We talk about Canadian cable. It was like $40 more if you bought the NFL package to get every other package, like in a bundle.
The Sports Super
So-
PAC. I very much remember that.
Yeah, so it's like if you were getting the NFL, it was like literally the value algo to just add the like 4 other leagues was insane. So I don't know, and I had the NFL package way before 2002.
Yeah, why did I watch so many Braves games? Because they were on all the time.
They were the other
had
team that
access.
everyone could watch on TBS. Just turn into the
Exactly.
Superstation,
Genius.
you'd be good to go. Yeah, there was a mystique around these guys that you didn't know, that if Randy Johnson was pitching today, I could subscribe to the Randy Johnson Instagram feed that would show me every pitch that he made during the game 2 hours after it happened. Like, it's not that big of a deal anymore. And the thing that it killed the most were all of these All-Star games. And it's funny because growing up, the Pro Bowl was the worst of all these games then, but it was still somewhat intriguing. And then we got to like the mid-aughts, and it was like, at least the NBA has tried to reinvent it a bunch of times. I don't think it works at all. But I used to love NBA Skills Weekend, and I feel like that's dead now too.
Dead.
Saturday night's still a thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
They
but
still
it's
do it,
like-
but it's lost
the
all of
dunk
its
is
luster.
in.
The dunk the
Yeah.
dunk contest
Can
and the home run derby used to be like, and even the NHL skills competition was like the fastest shot, fastest skater. Like the night before the actual game felt like a real event. Like, and it just
did.
and
Best.
maybe it's because I was a kid and I'm seeing it through that lens.
Yeah.
But they still do it, but no one really seems to care anymore.
Okay. A lot of people pick on LeBron for a lot of things, a lot of it unfair. I do believe he is responsible for the complete downturn in the NBA All-Star game. Like every other player would have followed his lead. Once he said it's like not important, or we're not going to maintain the standard of competitive level that was this game had through even all generations, and like with Magic and Jordan and like it was always competitive, even early and into our teens and later in life it was competitive, and the other players take the lead of the best player and how he's going to treat it. So I believe at its core, he is the one who is responsible for the NBA All-Star game losing its mystique as a really great game that had a certain level of competitiveness, sort of like what we hear about happens in YMCA gyms in like Florida, in LA, when these guys are training in the off season, like those games. Like, but that's what the All-Star, so I blame him for that. But everything else, Pat, I believe is right. Through the skills competition, it's about being a kid. It's just a different lens. It was like magical.
But even
those
LeBron,
skills
like
nights.
LeBron never doing the dunk contest ever, kind of killed the dunk contest, because once people saw he was never going to do it, none of the top guys ever did it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they could do like, I forget what year it was, maybe it was Stromile Swift. I can't really remember at this point. It was ages ago. But whenever they introduced that you can have as many tries as you want to do the dunk, it's like, all right, let's get out of here with this.
No, unwatchable. It's really a shame. Like there was a time when like all-star games and events were like part of the mystique and part of the thrill of being a sports fan. Like those were must-watch events, and they were formative. Like I remember all kinds of important moments in all-star games. I remember like Ray. Who was it on the I think it was Sakic, wasn't it, in the NHL All-Star game, who pointed before he scored the game winner in an All-Star game? Like there's all kinds.
It was
of
Owen
moments.
Nolan.
That's who it was. It was
And
Owen
Ray
Nolan.
Bork
That's
scored
exactly
a
who it was.
last-second goal on Felix Potvin, which I still remember.
At the Fleet Center. At the Fleet Center.
Yeah,
That's
it
right.
still
So like,
bothers me.
so these are moments you can like. I will remember these moments, and like people today either don't care or don't understand how like good All-Star games could be if people cared.
Well,
it's just too much.
But you can't even
they're
ask a player to play back-to-back nights in the NBA for goodness sake, let alone play in the All-Star game. So. And then the same with baseball. People are so hyper terrified with pitch counts that their pitcher would pitch an extra inning. God forbid. What if he were to blow out his ACL, or blow out his elbow, which doesn't happen in the All-Star. No, it's never happened. But God forbid. So instead, we don't get what we used to have.
If you had to rewind it back to the last big moment that you remember from any of these things, I mean, the hockey one for me is a long time ago. The one thing that stands out in my mind from the NHL skills competition ever was Al Iafrate and his bald head with that little island of hair in the middle, shooting at like 102 miles per hour, like 95. It was like, holy shit. Him and Al McGinnis just had rockets.
His slap shot. Their slap shots were so hard.
But
and that Iafrate was earlier than you think, but that's like a vivid childhood memory, like 92 or 93. That's like a vivid like skills night competition. I don't know. Yeah.
I still have a throwback Mario Lemieux Wales All-Star game jersey that I wear sometimes.
That's a fantastic
from the 1993 All-Star game in Montreal.
That is worth more than your Batman Forever mugs.
Yes, that is, and that's true. Yeah, that isn't like a Mitchell and Ness. Tim's talking like original. That's amazing.
So from the home run derby, the last great moment I can remember, that really captivated everyone, was the Josh Hamilton year.
That was a great year
when he had 7,000 home runs.
But I mean, I can still remember in my mind's eye being 12 years old and watching Mark McGwire at Fenway Park hit 600 home runs that night.
That was 99 because Griffey was in that one too.
Yeah, 1999. I was 12 years old.
Yeah, and then I
can still remember it.
Like for basketball,
and then Ted Williams came out the next night. Ted Williams, in one of his last appearances, came out and tipped his cap, and he never tipped his cap.
Basketball stats like Kobe late in his career, taking games over.
I'm just thinking dunk contest. Obviously, there's the Jordan dunk from the 80s, which
Vince Carter's
dunk, and then the Dwight Howard year when he jumped over the car.
But for me, even between those,
Dwight Howard.
Between those, there was as a kid, even before the Raptors came into the league, Isaiah Ryder and East Bay Funk. That's I don't know, these skills competitions. they rocked.
I
They
still
used to
remember the
rock.
year baseball first made the World Series, eligible, the home field eligible for the World Series game, and it ended in a tie because both managers took it so seriously they ran out of relievers.
Yeah. What else are they supposed to do at that point, though?
But
Well, that's it.
Like they didn't think about the reserve reliever aspect, but at that point, like it sucked. But what else were they supposed to do at that point?
home run derby to settle it.
Okay, yes, they should have done something on the fly. Bud Selig sitting there beside Hank Aaron and
And it was in Milwaukee, if memory serves, too.
It was.
Like,
You're right.
oh,
Yeah, that's embarrassing. That was really embarrassing.
But I point
And
out I point
yeah.
out all these things to say, and maybe Geoff, you remember them a little bit more than I do. I can't really remember a Pro Bowl anything that stands out in my mind.
Oh, I
Sean
remember when
Taylor
the
hitting someone like
the punter,
that's-
right? Didn't he blow the punter up on a fake
That's
punt?
sort of the shit you remember from the Pro Bowl.
I remember Kurt Warner's Pro Bowl the year, like the week after they won the Super Bowl. I just remember vividly that game.
But the Pro Bowl memories, I'll give you two, and I don't think you can honestly.
Peyton
top
Manning,
them.
Peyton Manning ripping
Peyton Manning calling out
Vanderjagt.
that was going to be number one, and Sean Taylor blowing up a punter. Those are the Pro Bowl like greatest moments in like the aughts, at least.
I think that's right.
That's a little walk down memory road of Pro Bowls and All-Star games. Do you guys want to talk about the games from this past weekend? It's probably the only time we're going to talk about them. Or do you want to mix it into the awards that we're talking about? Because a lot of these guys are going to be coming up soon. But we can just talk about the games itself. We'll start with Buffalo, Kansas City.
Ugh.
In that, I kind of laid it out for you last week. This whole like Lamar versus Josh Allen, whatever. If Josh Allen doesn't beat Mahomes, it doesn't matter either way. And now they're both some sort of weird combination between Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers now.
I mean, yeah, it's closer to Peyton Manning in terms of like the ceiling league ranking skill. My heart hurts. Buffalo to me is a great American city. I know people will laugh at that, but I don't. They identify with their squad. It's life or death. And they like
But they got beat. They deserve to lose. They got
beat. They got beat. The yards per play that the Chiefs put out there, the Chiefs' ability to execute in huge moments so efficiently is like nothing we've ever seen, or like obviously a Brady level. Do I believe Josh Allen got that first down? Yes, but they didn't have the camera, and Dad is 20 yards away on the sideline. So what are you going to do?
Stop running a play that had been stopped earlier
it's like
in the
an
game.
umpire. Tim, it's like an umpire. Like if you're not hitting the spot earlier in the game or all game, the ump's not giving you the benefit of the doubt.
No, that's right.
In the moment.
It was clear that the Josh Allen
if that
push
play worked
was never gonna
optimally
work.
all game, the ref might even give him the extra. They were getting stuffed
And
all
it won't
game.
work in the Super Bowl either. If you go up against Chris Jones and you're Jalen Hurts, you will lose 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, see,
You can't run that play against Chris Jones.
It feels, but it was tranquil coming over the top. That's because they ran it to
That
the left.
helped
They
it-
ran
that
it to the
helped it
left like 4 times in a row, and it was the same result every time. If you just ran it to the right, I think you would have got it. And the way
People on
that
Twitter
the
are like,
Eagle,
"Oh, it's such
and
an
the Eagle,
unstoppable
but
play."
the way
And I
that
was
the
like, "No, but it's
Eagles,
not."
the way that the Eagles run the tush push is way different. Like they are the most
It got
successful team
stopped,
at
too.
doing it. Sure, but then they ran it again and it worked. Because they're
Should
like
Josh Allen
because
not
they,
be
because
doing
they,
it out of shotgun or pistol then?
No,
Like,
I think that he should be under center doing it. If you're going to do it, you just don't run it to exactly the same spot every single time because they're not really doing a push. They're doing a QB sneak. If Brady was able to do it so successfully for all these years, Josh Allen should be able to figure out how to do it. But when it clearly wasn't working, it's not that you need to run Josh Allen up the middle, just then drop him into shotgun and do almost what they did on the James Cook touchdown. Like roll him out, give him the pass, give him the option, or give him the ability to run. Like give him multiple outs in that situation. And they get so scared when it doesn't work the first time. And this is what the Eagles are really good at. If they do it on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and goal and it gets stopped, you know what they do? They fucking do it again. And it works. And the Bills just they
The
lose
Chiefs will be ready for it, though.
Yeah, but they will be ready for it, but it's a hard play
And
to
they'll
stop
stop it.
2 times in a row. So
It is.
So if you
I don't
continue to
believe
run
the
it,
league
no,
is-
just hold on. The Bills lose their confidence when something doesn't work right away. We've seen it now in all 4 of the games, except for really the game where they lost in overtime, where they played fantastically offensively and just they got Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. Like that was, what are you going to do in that circumstance? You just got beat by the best tight end, wide receiver, quarterback combo of the past 15 years, probably since the 2007 Patriots is probably what we're looking back at there. But like you hit on it, Geoff. The thing that blends Mahomes together with Brady and what elevates Mahomes above all of these other guys is that when it comes time, and it's his teammates too, and part of it's him, part of it's coaching, it's all in one, that they don't fuck it up.
You don't. It's so good. They're so perfect at it. And I hurt so much for the Bills. Did I wish there's a different flavor of cake at the Super Bowl? Of course. A lot of the discourse around the game is so annoying, but it's such a big game. 60 million people watch. The internet, Twitter, it's like what sports radio was. So that's where we're going to go. And
I was on Reddit very quickly on Sunday night.
I'm sure you were. And
Cust joined the upvote party on Jets Reddit because the Bills were out.
And
look, man, they would do it to me.
Would they? I don't think they care.
Yes. I'm just saying, I didn't want them to win, but I also didn't want them to get cheated out of the game either. I wanted them to lose legitimately, and they did.
Yeah.
The better team won.
I guess I don't believe the league is rigged. That is not a thing. I actually respect the Chiefs. Maybe when they win this week, I'll stop respecting them and it'll turn to hatred because 4 is enough. But
you hear that sound? That's that thud of the Bills window closing.
Oh, see, I disagree. This was supposed to be the year the Bills. Remember, we talked about it coming in. They have all their cap space next year.
Bills,
they can
Lions.
No,
The window's closing.
they're not elite QB play. No, that's not fair, Tim. Same group. No.
Yeah, no, it's the same group that's coming back. In fact, they'll probably add to the roster that they have, whereas the Lions are going to lose both their coordinators, and they still have Jared Goff. And that essentially becomes the biggest problem that they have.
The AFC East is going to be really, really competitive.
You told me that the last
course.
2 years, Tim.
The Bills Bills basically had a bye this year into the first round because there was no competitive team really in the AFC East. Next year, there's going to be
They have
really
a gold
competitive
standard
teams.
quarterback.
Yeah.
The Lions don't. The Lions are
So do the Bengals. They missed the playoffs the last 2 years.
Without
Don't
that
tell me that
elite-
it's all quarterback because it's not.
But without elite level QB play, it's so much harder to maintain. That's
Well, I agree
why
with
I'd be
that.
concerned about the Lions. But Pat's absolutely right. This was supposed to be like a bit of a transition year.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Okay, hear me out. In the same way, after the Chiefs traded, it's almost like a Bills 2.0 started. Now, when the Chiefs started 2.0, they had already won Super Bowls, and now they felt they could trade Tyreek Hill, and they reset how they did things, and they went on to be amazing again. The Bills are very much there, except obviously not winning the Super Bowl is getting stopped by the Chiefs.
No, okay. So they'll just be good forever. They'll just be good forever.
But I
then,
would
okay.
argue,
Okay.
you could argue this is the start of their this year was the start of their 2.0, and their 2.0 I don't think is going to be that short. So I disagree.
This is as good as it's going to get with no competition in division.
I said something that I regret saying with our friend Pizzola yesterday is there is no shame in losing to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think there's anything like Sean McDermott, you can't fire him.
You know what? I think that you kind of have to. I think you have to fire him. If you have someone.
Warren Sharp said something that I thought was genius. And as someone who sells picks, who doesn't post their record, it's always a questionable thing, in my opinion. That being said, he said something that turned me. Fire Sean McDermott and hire Spagnuolo.
No, I don't know Spagnuolo. I mean, the play of the game was
they
Spagnuolo
get
calling
the other
that blitz.
side.
They do.
I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming either.
Yeah, neither did they. They held
They've
it
got
back.
to stop Mahomes.
They do have to stop Mahomes, but the better way to do that isn't necessarily to hire Spagnuolo. With the cap room that they have and the assets that they have, there's 2 moves that they can make this offseason. I don't know if they're going to be able to accomplish it.
Head coach.
If the other teams, now just beyond head coach, is that they have enough cap room, they have enough capital, they could trade for Max Crosby. That's one. And that would solve a lot of their defensive problems.
I would fire McDermott and bring in Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
I think that would be a net. That guy wins a ton of games.
Well, but if you fire Sean McDermott and then in 2 years you're going to be like, that Sean McDermott wins a lot of games.
Well, one of them has a Super Bowl and one of them doesn't.
Okay, that's fine. He won a Super Bowl 15 years ago.
I think they're in this position that the Chargers were in when they went 14-2 and said, "I'm sorry, but we can't go any further with Schottenheimer, even though he wins a ton of games."
No, that
You-
was a
you have-
power struggle between the
Nah,
GM. That was a
no.
power struggle between the GM and the coach that had nothing to do with like we want to have a transitional situation. AJ Smith and Marty Schottenheimer hated each other by the end, and it was a lot of it. AJ AJ wanted Philip Rivers to play the last game of the regular season. Marty forbid because Marty wanted to go 8-8. It was important for Marty to go 8-8. What happened in that game was Drew Brees tore his shoulder and took away like any sort of leverage that they had, and it totally fractured their relationship, and they were done. And then it was a power struggle, and the ownership picked the guy who built the team, who drafted every draft pick hitting. That guy stayed, and they fired the coach and hired a dude who hits on 16 in blackjack.
You're
Or
supposed
Denver
you're,
when
you're,
they fired
supposed,
John
You're
Fox.
supposed to hit on 16 in blackjack, Jeff.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Denver-
18.
Oh,
Denver fired John Fox the year after they lost in the divisional round to the Colts, and then hired Kubiak and won the Super Bowl like
sure.
2 years later.
Tampa fired Dungy and won with Gruden.
If you wanted to give me a better option than Mike McCarthy, I could be on board.
Spagnuolo.
Spagnuolo's been a head coach and he wasn't very good.
On a Sam Bradford Rams team that
struggled
drafted
his
first overall.
Yeah.
Sure.
Belichick struggled
Listen,
his first
there-
time
there-
out too.
there-
As a head coach.
and listen,
That's not enough reason.
They have to get some Chiefs. They have to find. It's like still a defensive guy, so it's a lot of the same mindset, but it's from that side. And if anyone might know how to stop whatever the fuck is happening there, it's him. So I think it's a lateral.
Saleh. Go ahead. You want a good defensive coach? Go hire Robert Saleh. He'll fix your defense.
Oh, I thought you said
Pat,
I thought you said Tom Sula.
No, Robert, him too. Go hire Saleh.
So I can finish my point. Like trading for a Max Crosby is feasible for them if they want to give up the stuff to do it because they have the room to pay him now with all the cap space because they ate all this dead cap this year. That's really what punished them, especially like when they went out and got Amari Cooper. He had to restructure and he wasn't very good to begin with, or go out and get that real receiver. Like all of the other, like the Chiefs can get by without it, but they still do have Kelsey. The Bills, weirdly enough, when the chips were down and they had to make a throw to someone, it was fucking Mac Hollins that they had to throw to. Like, if you had someone legit that you could just force the ball to, and maybe Keon Coleman takes the step in year 2. Obviously, Allen trusts him in these jump ball situations, but he gets bad separation. They want it to be Shakir. Shakir's a slot 3 guy. He can't be your 1.
could have been worthy.
So the receivers,
Could have been worthy.
veteran receivers who are highly regarded, who could be on the move,
Devontae Adams.
Metcalf, Tariq Hill,
Evans.
Devontae Adams. I mean, we'll see some receivers.
T. Higgins. I think that's
Well,
probably
that's a free agent. That's a free agent.
And the money that he's going to command, I don't think that's where the Bills will end up going. Like, where do you think the T. Higgins ends up? I guess if the Jets don't re-sign, is Adam still under contract, Tim?
I think so.
All right,
Yes.
so it's not going to be the Jets. Like, someone will throw the bag. It should be Cincinnati because they've been.
Patriots are might want him. They have a ton of cap room, and they need desperate for a receiver.
And like, do we know how good T. Higgins actually is? Because in my mind, these like veteran wide receiver deals where you sign the number 2, who's very good from a good team, from a good quarterback, just it never works out.
Yeah, but you put him together with a Pro Bowl quarterback like they've got in New England, and things could be magical.
I mean, he is a substantial step up from anyone that they have on their roster currently, but I
don't agree with that. JM3 is every bit as good.
There's rumors
I
that
meant
the
a receiver.
Chargers will try to sign him,
Sorry.
but I'd rather the Chargers I don't want to pay Modern Wire one money. I'd rather draft.
You got to pay
rather
someone. Like,
draft
you
one.
got McConkey. If you add Higgins in with him, I think that makes a bit more sense. Like, if you put him on the Bills, maybe they do have an
I
effort.
might pick the Chargers to win the division.
What?
If they had Higgins and McConkey, I might pick the Chargers to win the division.
Well, there will be significant upgrades to the playmakers, but we'll have an offseason to talk about those.
Yeah, that's true. The Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl. I will definitely be picking the Chargers to win the division.
I mean, just
And the Chiefs do win the Super Bowl?
Early,
Do not.
Early,
If they do not.
Early Super Bowl pick. Chiefs minus 1.5, right?
I haven't seen anyone pick the Eagles. I'll win 10K if they do.
I just
win,
don't
so I'll have
think
a decision to
picking
make.
against Andy Reid off a bye is just a stupid thing to do.
I want you to know, had the Bills won, I'd have probably made like a full 50-50 hedge on my future because I'll be at would have been at a Bills party. I'm not watching the Bills Super Bowl win and not having a residual bad betting memory from it. So I would have done a full 50-50 hedge on my future. This future's big enough. I have to hedge. It would be just totally irresponsible, I think, not to put a little bit on Patrick Mahomes. So yeah. At
Was
least-
this the Super Bowl Eagles Chiefs where you guys room and he dropped the catch or whatever?
Are you? You know that you remember that?
You told the story on the show. No, Jeff, I'm reading your mind. Of course, you told the story on the show.
I
No,
don't,
I've
I don't
tweeted
remember
about it.
this. What happened?
No, we had like a huge $100,000 bet, and all it needed was the Devontae Adams anytime, and he dropped that bomb. Devonta Smith, and like my whole Super Bowl party was just like, it was all of a just like it was a funeral. Didn't matter, like it was just like you could have done police like chalk around corpses on the floor of the Super Bowl party. Yeah, so it is a rematch of that. Hey, Tim, you're the best.
I
man.
loved that story.
You're the best.
Well, we have some good futures riding here. Like, I'm not going to make a bet on either side of the game because, Jeff, I already won. And the Bills helped me out so much, I couldn't even hedge because by the time that the Eagles had beaten Washington, it was down to a pick 'em and everything. I was going to do it if the Bills were +2 or +2.5. And then they got bet down to basically everywhere I saw. The best number I could find was +1.5, -110. I was like, I don't want to hedge on that. It's like, it's big, but it's not that big. Like, I'd rather just go for the full shebang here if I'm going to do it. And the Bills helped me out by losing.
I haven't seen anyone pick the Eagles.
I don't get, well, so my quick breakdown of the game would
the
be
line
this.
is wrong.
You think the line is wrong?
I think it should be Chiefs by 3.
The Eagles
Okay,
have
sorry, I
the
thought
best
you-
player at every position except for coach and quarterback, and that's actually what matters, so the Chiefs are going to win.
Maybe tight end.
Sure. Chelsea's pretty old, and Goddard's been
Yeah,
great.
Kelsey's pretty
And
old.
Chris Jones is better than any defensive lineman. That
Jalen Carter's pretty fucking
Jalen
good,
Carter's
man.
pretty good.
I still take. He's excellent. I would
Sure,
still take Chris Jones ahead of him.
Okay, 1v1, but if we're talking about defensive line versus defensive line, the Eagles have a better defensive line than the Chiefs do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter against Mahomes.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it did in the Super Bowl against Tampa.
Yes, because
you're
they
right,
had no
you're right, it
because the Chiefs were playing guys who you've never heard of playing offensive
Didn't Mahomes
line.
have like a broken foot or toe or something?
No, it was the offensive line for the Chiefs was extremely
Oh
injured,
yeah, that's what it was.
and
Yeah,
Tampa
that's-
just
yeah,
ripped them apart.
ripped them apart. Yeah.
So with Buffalo, I think that they'll be, I don't know if they'll make the conference championship game against next year, but they'll have
let's hope
every
not.
opportunity to do that with the team that they're going to be bringing back. It's just unfortunate. Like, I want to see either Lamar or Josh Allen get to a Super Bowl and win it. In fact, I'd like to see both of them do it, just so I don't have to hear about this nonsense anymore. I think they're both good. I'd like to see them do it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's crowded.
Lamar, yes.
It's crowded. There's still Joe Burrow.
Sure, but
I'll get a choke in the playoffs again too. I hope.
Even
So,
through the years of all those AFC championships and like Super Bowls, Joe Flacco ended up with 1, Roethlisberger ended up with 2, Manning
course.
ended up with 2. Like, eventually it can happen. Just, you can't miss your window, and I don't feel like the Bills' window is closed.
I agree with you on that. Tim is alone in this threesome.
No, I'm not
on that
alone in the
thought.
sense that it's such more of an uphill climb next year compared to this year
It is so hard to win those games
because
again
the
and to get
division is
back
going to
the
be so
same
much
game.
more competitive.
Why
Just
is the division going to be
this-
so much more competitive? Because the Jets are
Because
going to be
all 4 of
amazing,
those,
according to you?
all three of those teams will be better next year than they were this year.
Sure, but all 3 of those teams still won't be as good as the Bills.
We'll see, I guess. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Like, you think the Patriots are going to improve so much they're better than the Bills?
I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Patriots were like an 8 or 9 win team next year.
Okay.
Like I expect improvement all over the place. So I think Buffalo's best chance, but not their only chance, but their best chance went sailing. Doesn't mean they won't win again, but this is their best chance.
You could say this is their best chance because they just lost by 3 points in the AFC Championship game. Sure, like I get that part of it, but I don't think that talent-wise that they're going to be returning a worse team next year.
I don't know. We'll see.
You just watch out for the Dolphins, right? Is that what you're saying?
Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. I think they'll all be far more competitive.
I don't see how the Dolphins get better because especially with Tyreek gone.
I mean, they did keep McDaniel, which is a problem, and Hill wants to get out of there, which is a problem. But I don't know. Like they've had a lot of injuries the last 2 years. A healthy Dolphins team would be a playoff caliber team.
And the Jets
And the
just
Bills
hired
have to play a tough.
The only way you
The
compliment
Bills,
the Dolphins
Jets
is
just
in
hired
the
somebody who got me
context.
very excited.
yeah, the
Aaron
Jet-
Glenn has me very, very excited.
But you only
The Jets
you
just
only
hired
compl-
Robert Saleh 2.0. Except Robert
don't
Saleh
agree.
was coming from a better defense.
This is someone who used to play for the Jets, who knows
Well.
what it means to play in the center of football in the AFC.
I'm shocked they didn't hire Postman Ted to be their coach.
I'm excited with the things he said, and then we'll see what kind of offensive team he builds around them. But like, he's willing to bring Aaron back, and I'm ready to bring Aaron back, and I'm ready to do this whole thing all over again.
That can't end in misery, can it?
If it looks like Aaron, the talk is, will Aaron take a bit of a pay cut to stay? I think he will, to be a starter.
Yeah, he will.
He will take the pay cut, so that'll increase our money that much more. We can bring in a couple of big studs. And the offense is already pretty stacked if it stays healthy. We need one or two other guys. I think maybe one other pass rusher, maybe one safety. But like, they've got the best players at nearly every position. So this could be a very competitive team. And after the last 2 years where they had such bad luck, like, they really should. The positive regression potential for the Jets is astronomical. Like, tail end of the parabola, astronomical.
But what if they miss their window? What if they miss their window of regression?
It may have closed. But like, next year is like the last gasp.
I am excited for the Jets to be better next year, and I actually want them to have a good year because you've become so pathetic the past 2 years, thinking the Jets are going to be good, and they haven't been. And then to hear you just have excuses the entire time. I'd like for you to have some joy in your life and not be miserable for 10 weeks of the season.
You and me both. Yes, I agree. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I like that you're out of your hibernation refreshed.
I said I would be hibernating until they hired a coach, and then I'm going to go away for a while, and I'll come back when the draft happens.
I do appreciate how they're going to be better next year, and somehow they had the best players at every position this year, and now they have almost the best players at every position now. It seems like they got worse.
Yeah, I mean, like,
What
there were
pick
some
do you have
players who
again?
regressed. We have the 7th pick.
Well, that's a great pick.
Not as good as the
All right.
11th.
No, I don't know. I mean, we have needs. I'm still taking another offensive lineman. I don't care.
So you want to trade?
Trade for Becton.
I think I would. He's playing all right as a guard. Good for
is.
him. I hope he plays great. I hope he plays.
He's a free agent. You can sign him.
I'm one of these people who holds no ill will when people leave the Jets. Like, none at all. Like, good for him. I hope he succeeds.
Okay, well, I want to move to Washington, and the point I wanted to make about Washington is I think that they missed their window. Not that they can't be good again, just everything went right for them this year, and now teams are going to be ready for them, and they don't get back.
Sure.
Yeah, for
Sure.
Like,
they've got
NFC
if that guy's QB1 in that conference, like, you're game on now.
That's the thing.
You're
It's like,
game
it's
on.
Josh Allen style. Like, if you believe Josh Allen means that the Bills window can't be closed, then Jalen Daniels means.
Yeah.
No, but,
that the
I never
be
said,
closed.
okay, I don't want to frame it as in their window is closed, but I do think that this may have been their best chance to get to the Super Bowl.
It may have been.
Sure,
It may have been.
Dude, they're like getting there. If you knew a Washington fan, it's sort of like, listen, I want to like pretend that it's house money, but I also know like things can go great for the next handful of years and we still don't get back here. So you're absolutely right. Like, there's no denying that you are right, but at its core,
Like, Phillip had 10 more years and he never got back to the championship game.
at its core, it's still like game on. Like, we've got a QB1 now. It doesn't seem like there's a slog of QB1s around the conference.
No.
It is game on. It is game on. If that guy stays healthy, his poise, his ability to like go through progressions, it is just so impressive. Like, what a guy. What a
I agree.
quarterback. Oh, lucky Ducks over there. Good for anyone. Yeah.
They are lucky Ducks. There's no doubt about it.
No, listen, you get
But they've also
you've drafted
been through,
second overall lot. You didn't get anything like you didn't get a present like that.
No, I haven't. And they've been through a lot as a fan base. And so like I'm happy to see them enjoying things.
Did you like that story from
But you know what you can't do? But you know what you can't do in a championship game? Give up 7 rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That
they
is
weren't
an
ready
embarrassing.
for it.
They were not, and I said this on Twitter, and I don't want to criticize Dan Quinn too much because I think he had a great year. What a terrible coaching job that was last week. Talk about a team not prepared to play in the NFC title game. I'm sorry, that is really bad. And I'm not going to just hand wave that away by saying, they had a fantastic year. Like, yes, they did. And a lot of people did a lot of great things this year, including him. What a embarrassing performance that is in the NFC Championship game. And we can't forget that. That was bad.
But there were a lot of turnovers, which I don't blame on him. But at the same time, it felt like he didn't really know what he was doing.
No.
In the context of,
And
they
you
went
knew
for
it
the
right away
fourth-
on the
no,
first drive.
They
when he
went for
kicks
the
that
4th
field
and
goal.
3, and at the 27 or something, and they didn't go for the 4th and 2 or at the 18, and then to go for the fake punt there. It just seemed like he was driving by flying by the seat of the pants.
It was
As
like
He had
as
the
that
magic.
analogy
coin
goes.
flipping.
He had the magic 8 ball out, and he was just shaking it on the sidelines.
That's what it seemed like. And so, like, Dan Campbell has a strategy, and he plays that strategy, whether it works or it doesn't. He plays the strategy. It seemed like Dan Quinn was pretending to be the guy who has a strategy but doesn't.
Yeah, but then there were the turnovers, and they were just done.
Yeah.
And the penalties,
Well,
they self imploded, but in his own way, he imploded as well. You are right, Tim.
They stuck around longer than I thought they would after Barkley ran in the first play for a touchdown. I thought they were just done. He was going to be like 48-0.
Yeah, no, they
yeah,
showed
yeah.
some pride, but then they just that defense just embarrassed itself.
Well, it wasn't,
55.
but it wasn't a good defense all year. This is kind of what everyone thought would happen in round 1, and then happened in round 2, and it finally happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fair
it
enough.
did happen. I mean, the other teams, they just made the wizardry just kept them in all those other games.
And everyone forgets, like, Philadelphia has been a wagon all year. Even when they look bad, they still lay a beat. They are the most physical team that played in the playoffs, and now they're still here.
Yeah. No, and not to take anything away from them. They played excellently in all 3 playoff games that they played. Well, I shouldn't say excellently against the Rams. They almost threw the Rams game away.
They didn't play,
but they are where they deserve to be.
But they didn't play excellently against the Packers. They didn't do it against the Rams, but they were still able to have enough of a lead that even when they had a brain fart a little bit, they were still in it, and they still ended up winning the game. Like, weirdly on paper, I mean, even by seeding, I guess if you look at, I guess the Packers would have been worse. I think Washington was the worst team that they played in the playoffs.
Yes.
So
in some ways, yeah.
like, what were
Yeah, I
the
mean, the Rams only had 10.
I mean, listen, if you're a team like a really good team, that's a great draw.
and they got to play 3 home games.
Like,
They're the first
if
team
you're
ever
an
to play
Eagles
3
fan,
home
like
games in the playoffs.
You're a pig in shit when they beat the Commandos, and you're like, we beat the Rams, we get this home game draw against the Commanders to go to the Super Bowl.
I will
no
say,
offense to the Commanders, but come on.
I like the Chiefs to win the game in the Super Bowl. In fact, I really don't care who wins, but I would consider like a ladder on the alt spread. The alt-right spread of the week, Geoff, for you. Like Eagles minus 13. That maybe the Eagles just smack them down.
The Eagles will need to be up 13 to win the goddamn game.
Yeah, I don't think an Eagles route is actually on the
I mean,
cards.
I am not the conspiracy theory guy, but the Eagles get up 13, and the next thing that happens is this is like a Chiefs Mahomes to win it 40 minutes later. The Eagles get up 13. And part of me is like wants to get greedy with my future and like wait for the Eagles to get up in the game.
No, you can't do
Even
that.
If the Eagles,
can't do
but
that.
Even if the Eagles scored first, like it'd be so early in the game, the book wouldn't even like there'd just be too much time left against Mahomes, or the books wouldn't even like respect it enough to like make it worth me doing. So yeah, I'm not.
Like if it's an early turnover or 2 for the Chiefs, which they don't do, so that's like it's on the very bottom end of the bell curve. But I can see a situation where Philadelphia just overpowers them and runs it down their throats.
You think so?
I
I mean,
do.
the Buffalo ran all over the Chiefs. It made no difference.
Yeah, but Philadelphia is much better at running the ball than the Bills are. And when the Bills in the most crucial moment, who did they run with? Ty Johnson for some reason.
The Texans ran all over the Chiefs. Made no difference.
Yeah, but
Go ahead and try. Barkley, let Barkley go wild in this game. Like I wouldn't care if I'm the Chiefs. Every time Barkley touches the ball, I'm delighted if I'm the Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess the Chiefs are like that, and they just know, like, you'll get to like the 22 and you'll take a holding penalty and you'll stall or something.
Jake Hurts beat me.
The difference is between all those teams you just talked about. The Bills were able to do it a little bit, and that's why they were so competitive in that game and could have won that game. Like the Texans were never going to win that game against the Chiefs. They just didn't have any explosion. That's where the Eagles differ in the running game because of Barkley and even Hurts for that matter. Like the 40-yard runs, the 30-yard runs, the big chunk plays for touchdowns that there is no goal line stand to chew up the clock. They can score quickly on the ground, which other teams just don't do. It's like old school Derrick Henry with the Titans when they get into these playoff games and like the first 2 rounds. Like, oh shit, he just went off for 80 yards. Like, oh fuck, what are we doing now? Like, it's different when they're just jamming it down your throat 5 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time. Like, your defense gets beat down, but there's time coming off the clock. You can react to that. The quick strike capability of the Eagles, and just Barkley makes one guy miss and he's gone. The Chiefs don't have a lot of answers for that offensively to start coming back.
You should pick the Eagles then.
Well, I don't care.
It sounds like you like the Eagles in the game.
It sounds like I already won money on the Super Bowl, Tim. I don't care.
Well, believe it or not, you're supposed to make it. We're going to make picks.
I already
So
said.
to
I
say
already said.
don't care is not
I
really a
already
good
said.
answer.
I'm picking the Chiefs to win because I don't think the Eagles are going to be executing it. But in a situation where the Eagles do win, I could see it being by a lot.
Listen, football season was great. Like, wasn't that a great finish to the season on Sunday night? Like,
Isn't it great when the leader at the Masters finishes Amen Corner and you can turn it off?
I want to hear from the comment section on this because I'm on Team Geoff with this. I'm not on Team Tim, but I know that there's a lot of divisiveness on this call. That I do think that real football ends at the conference championship. It is the best weekend for the viewers, for the fans. It has the best games, and then the Super Bowl is basically like an all-star game in a weird way. It means way more, but it's not for the real football fan. As Geoff has always pointed out, week 1 is way more fun than the Super Bowl.
I agree with that point.
You know that meme, Pat, where it's like the dude whispering to the girl in like the loud nightclub? That's like me in the summertime at our gatherings amongst friends to my friends' wives, letting them know, like, you better let them out week 1. Like, it's more important than the Super Bowl. Just so you know, week 1 is like more important than the Super Bowl. Yeah, listen, doesn't mean the Super Bowl isn't fun, and doesn't mean I don't have a great time at the Super Bowl party. But it's not. It's
a party.
It's not football season, is what it's not. That's all I'm saying. Football season over. Garnish left in the bowl. It's called the Super Bowl.
Kingsbury is decided that he is staying with Washington, not going to take the Saints job, or at least be in consideration for the Saints job now.
That's a smart idea. I wouldn't want the Saints job over being the OC in Washington, having another year with Daniels, and having an opportunity at an even better job in a year's time.
That would be the whole thing. That if you do it again, now you get your pick of the jobs, and New Orleans probably ain't it.
No, I don't think that's a particularly exciting job. There's a reason it's the last one to be filled.
It's going to be Mike McCarthy, right?
Yeah, have they even interviewed him?
He's like,
the only way it's not is if they're waiting for like Kellen Moore or something from this.
Who they interviewed the other day. So
unless they're waiting for someone from this game, it's going to be Mike McCarthy.
Jared, your ears perked up there with this being the last. When Geoff said this is the last weekend of football, last weekend, do you disagree with him?
No, I was just going to say for the Eagles. Remember when we were in Montreal and how fun that was? They haven't lost a game since we were in Montreal.
No, they lost to Washington
when Jalen Hurts starts and finishes. They haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there. Just put a little bow on it.
I have not seen anyone pick the Eagles. You would think the line would like have to move if everyone, even like the really smart guys with their projections and their mod, have already been like, yeah, I'm on the Chiefs. Like, we're already in. Like,
where's Rob on it?
I'm almost certain he's on the Chiefs. I haven't really spoken to him about the Super Bowl specifically, like the side, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the Chiefs. I don't know anyone that's bet the Eagles. So you'd think the spread would have to be like Tim's spread, Chiefs -3, but it's still 1 or 1.5.
Yeah, like Eagles -6.5 is +235. I could see potentially dabbling on that, or if you want to get crazy, like -11.5 is +410.
I'll tell you what it will be. It will be an Eagles home game.
Yes. But I saw people talking about the ratings of the games, like, oh, no one wants to see the Chiefs versus the Eagles. I believe the last time that these two teams played in a Super Bowl, it was the highest rated Super Bowl of all time. So
yeah, Taylor Swift will be there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's I'm not going to watch, Pat. I really just think it's like I've been to this party before.
Yeah, I think
we get a new band to play
sales.
like that.
Ticket sales will be down average price because both these fan bases have now been, this is what, the 5th Chiefs Super Bowl in 6 years, and the Eagles have now been to 3 in the past 7 years. That everyone, all the people who waited their entire life to go to one of these things, they've probably gone to one already. It's not that their fans aren't going to show up for it, but they're not going to pay $10,000 a ticket to go now.
The Eagles ones seem to have like a little bit of like air between them, and they're freaking crazy. And goddamn,
And there's
it,
more of
Bourbon
them.
Street, get ready for them because they're going to be animals.
They were awful in Minneapolis. Oh my goodness, they were awful in Minneapolis when we were there.
Were they?
Yeah, there's a collection of them that should be put out at birth, but they really are a great organization.
They were so annoying that whole weekend. That whole week we were in Minneapolis that I almost didn't want to see them win, and I almost wanted to see the Patriots win. But of course,
Yeah.
I
They'll
don't.
do that. If you
I
spend
was there.
time with them,
I
they'll
don't.
do that to you.
I don't remember this at all, Tim.
Well, you weren't walking around the mall the way I was all the time and encountering out of the media. You were on Radio Row the whole time. You had to be. But for those of us who were outside of the den for a lot of it and were walking around, I got to experience just the Eagles fandom. And it's like, if you people were playing anybody but the Patriots, I think I'd cheer for somebody else.
Yeah, Pat's at Radio Row, his hotel room, and probably the hotel gym.
Yes.
That was it. So like I experienced a little bit more of like I imbibed more of the Super Bowl culture in Minneapolis that week, and the Eagles fans were just annoying.
And we met up with Rank for a beer too.
That was great.
Remember it had the person who was blindfolded when we walked in the door?
Yes.
Did you
I
do
did.
this on purpose?
What?
Well, listen, I like Rank, friend of the program.
Friend of mine,
Tim
personal friend of mine.
All
Okay.
I did was retweet something that he said,
tweet-
which was absolutely true.
Embarrassing
And
tweet.
you don't like
Embarrassing tweet.
you don't like Caleb Williams.
That's not true.
And within a few weeks or even a month or two, you will admit that you really don't like Caleb Williams. But while you're still pretending that you like him, tell me why it was an unfair tweet, because it was absolutely the truth.
You get equity. Like equity allows you leeway to do bad things, and people be like, we don't have to be worried about that. He's shown us enough that like that's not like we work through that. Like with Caleb Williams, there's so much of that it's like exhausting. And it's the NFC Championship with a rookie. Like he could have gone 0 for 25 and it's a free roll.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time a young player played terrible in a championship game in his first year.
So him taking a bad sack to end the game in the NFC title game when Caleb did that like 18 times?
His point was, and he's right, that if Caleb did that very thing,
Not if he did it in the NFC title game.
No,
in his
Adam was
rookie
right
year.
about that. People are looking to go out of their way to take shots at Caleb Williams.
I don't disagree with that, but Geoff is right. If Caleb Williams had played like Jaden Daniels all year and that happened to him in the NFC Championship game, which would have meant that he wasn't doing that all year long, then there probably would be a bit more grace afforded to him.
And
Sure.
I get it. Listen, it's got to be a bit of a, as much as Bears, like, great hire, they get the coach that's going to get Caleb going. I don't hate Caleb. I'm just trying to put myself in the headspace of a fan base, like where we drafted first overall and second overall is like lighting the world on fire. And my guy's making the same mistake all year. I might still think we're not done. We're not done. We're not even close to
Look
done.
at that smile on your face.
Well, it's a
Look at
big gulp.
Look at that smile
It's
on your
a big
face.
gulp. I don't not like
This
Caleb.
is such a song and dance.
No. Why do you think I don't like Caleb? Because
Because you take every opportunity to take a whack anytime you can.
Nope, that's not
and
true.
have for a whole year.
I don't believe that.
I
honestly
had no
don't.
problem. Basically agreeing with the comp to DTR.
No, I laughed at it and I
Zesty
mentioned
DTR.
it.
Yeah,
That's not fair to put that on
you
me.
brought it up because you thought that it was somewhat apt.
No, it was the day after we had a debate, or we were talking about DTR, and then like a Chicago radio clip on Twitter had the host saying our guy is Zesty DTR, and that made me laugh, and I shared it amongst friends.
I have a prop show that dropped on early Tuesday morning with some of your favorites. Connor Allen was on the show, Geoff, and I had Monotone Football on, Stu, and we went through basically the entire early board, and they kind of made mention that the overs right now at this part of the week are so much better than a week from now when you basically you could probably middle all your bets if you really wanted, if you just take overs right now, because everyone's going to be betting overs for the next 10 days. Then you're going to get there and be like, oh man, the Dallas Goedert receiving yards is now 65.5, and I got it 47.5, but we went through the entire board, checked that out. We made an underdog play in it. I wanted to give you guys one to see how you feel about this. And shout out to my main man, Adon, 7X, who's on both of these as well. And I liked where his angle was coming at with this. And the best thing is you can play these two and then use code Mayo at Underdog to throw on the guaranteed pick and juice it up to 6-1 if you wanted to. And you get a deposit bonus of $1,000 too. So you might as well go do that. It's the last time you can do it on football this year. Underdog, code Mayo. Please help out the show and help yourself out with a guaranteed winner. And we'll see if we can give you 2 to go with it. Travis Kelce, higher, 64.5 receiving yards. Dallas Goedert, Tim, higher, 52.5 receiving yards. These teams both have great corners. They suck at covering tight ends. If Dalton Kincaid can catch, then he goes over his number too.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm more worried about the Kelce number than I am the Goddard number. But
when in doubt, it's going to be all Kelce.
But it wasn't in the AFC Championship game. He basically was a non-factor.
They really didn't need him to move the ball offensively, honestly.
No, but I mean, it was a tight game, and there were some drives where they needed to perform, and they just didn't look his way.
Buffalo has the personnel in the linebacking quarter to be able to do that. Now, maybe Dean ends up one-on-one with them and is able to, Bond. Now I'm blanking on Zach Bond is able to match up with him. I don't think that's where they end up going. Just you have to think the corners for the Eagles are so good that maybe it ends up being Juju out of the slot or something like that. Or maybe it's Noah Gray. I just think that when in doubt, it's going to be all Kelce over the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. And weirdly,
that's the debate. You're trying to figure out which Kansas City guy is going to have the big game because those Chiefs receivers.
It could be Kelce's last game.
I agree.
If he plays great, it might be a great way to ride off
for
the
sure.
sunset. Right?
Yeah, come on. That'll write itself. He'll go to Hollywood. He'll do WrestleMania. He'll star in movies.
And don't forget, in the before last week, he only had 19 yards receiving because that was just the game plan that Buffalo had. It's we're not letting Kelce beat us, and we'll leave everyone else wide open. Before that, 117 yards on 8 targets, 84 on 11. He only had 30 yards on 7 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 16 targets, 8 targets. Basically, the moment December started and they actually tried to win games to him, it was mainly Kelce was the focal point.
Sure. No, I don't hate that parlay at all. I'm just saying of the two, I'm a little bit more anxious about the Kelce. That's all.
Which Kansas City receiver at the moment would be the one you think is to fade?
I think the easy answer is Hopkins. But his number's
can he beat
12.
Those corners?
It's 12.5 right now. I think it depends on how tight the game gets because we saw this. I mentioned Coleman for a reason in the Buffalo game, and I had brought it up to Leone when we talked about the game before that. When in doubt, when Allen is rolling out and he's looking down the field, and if there's a guy who's triple covered, just chuck it up to Coleman. He'll try to high point the ball and throw into traffic. I do think outside of maybe Kelce. And just because Kelce's such a bigger body, that if it's a tight window throw and they need the first down and someone is covered, he'll just throw it towards Hopkins because he still has the best hands.
That's probably fair.
You're not throwing it.
Yeah, he's just an old man.
If someone's hanging off Xavier Worthy, Mahomes isn't fitting it into the tight window hoping Worthy comes up with it. They're trying to get him in space so we can make a guy miss.
The most popular prop I've seen on the internet,
Rushing.
I guess, in the last day is the Worthy 4.5.
The Worthy 4.5 is good. It's already 6.5 at Underdog.
Yeah.
So there's a prime example that, it's still 6.5 right now at Underdog. That's going to get up to 7.5. And those are doubling a prop, although it doesn't seem like a lot, is a huge difference.
Yep. You have to pay the tax on both sides. So some guys will, depends what your numbers are. You have to somewhat like the other number, as Pizzola would say. I have to have some respect for the other number to want to try to middle it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And you need to have a big enough bet on one side, then who cares? Were you trying to argue
yes,
$8?
Of course. Yeah, exactly. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
That's not my game. There's professionals on Twitter you can follow who apparently can get down $300,000 on every prop in Arbit, but I don't know if that's real.
Can't imagine it is.
Welcome to the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. Tuesday, February 4th, we got the Boston Common versus Los Angeles Golf Club. Rory McIlroy, Keegan Bradley, Adam Scott, and Hideki Matsuyama taking on Colin Morikawa. Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, and Sahith Theegala, this isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in each week for TGL only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf. That brings us to the midway point of the show, and normally I would do an introduction, but I want to remind everyone that we are going to do a live show. I believe it is going to be June 7th in Toronto. Geoff, I think I actually wanted to run this by you guys. I'm going to run it by Cam and Rob as well. Woodbine reached out to me to do it there. Cam would be all in on that, I feel like.
That'd be a hoot. That'd be the summer. Ponies will be moving.
It would be, but it's so far away from downtown is the one problem. I don't know if that's like an issue.
Oh, yeah.
It might be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The other one is I had the rec room, and it would be at like 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
I think a matinee is a good idea.
I would want to have some sort of like after party, like as a meet and greet where we can meet all the people who showed up. That would be awesome because we wouldn't be able to stay at that venue the entire time.
I mean, I'm game for anything.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I don't think you want. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think you want to be too far afield from the city.
I agree, but it's interesting because it's it's the prime location, I think, to do it. It just happens to be outside of the city center.
Yeah, it's.
You can't just you can't just get out of your hotel room, take the subway, or just walk there. You have to get like a $50 Uber and stay way outside the city. Like, and if people are coming in for the show, then you're way out there. Wow, I'm considering it though. I think it's a pretty cool offer, and it would be a very fun. Cam would be in his element.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. People on the fence about it. If you like whatever it would, like that extra to have to get there, you will see Cam betting the ponies. There's not a more authentic version of Cam than
and it would
Cam
be the same day as the
Canadian Open Saturday.
Well, where's Woodbine relative to the course?
I mean, you would know better than us. You live there.
I know, but what is it? It's in.
But it would also be the same day as the Belmont Stakes.
Oh, really? Well, what if...
It's always the first Saturday in June.
Maybe. I know Cam's got the hookups. What's that bar that's underneath the old Score building, Geoff, that maybe we do the after party there where you can bet on horses? Shoeless Joe's? Is that it?
Oh, Gabby's? Yeah.
No, there's one that has like a room, like a horse racing.
Oh, yeah. Shoeless Joe's, I think, is like gone, though.
Oh, that's too bad.
Like a lot of things. Yeah, I think it's gone.
Anyway, that's where we're at right now, but it's going to be on June 7th, that Saturday.
Yeah, Cam used to host there on like Thanksgiving and for like some primetime NFL games. Those are good times.
So anyway, use code Mayo at Underdog. Help support out the show so it's not coming out of my pocket completely. It's going to come out of my pocket a little bit. I just don't need it to come out completely. So if we can get our friends at Underdog on board, maybe they can set everything up for us. But that is the midway point of the show, which leads us to a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner.
I want to ask you a question, Geoff.
Uh-oh.
No, well, look.
Lay it
Okay.
out. Just lay out.
I'm under interrogation.
Lay out your entire business proposal. I will not say anything until you are done, except for maybe ask a question or two.
I think in a day and age where fewer and fewer people are interested in alcohol and where mocktails are fantastic, there should be places that you can go where it's a mocktail only facility. And you can just get those, and they are cheaper than your regular cocktails, and they can put deals on where, like, you know, it can be like $2.50 mock margarita Mondays or something. And I just think it would be, mocktails are delicious. You can make them sugar free if you want to, use stevia or aspartame or whatever rather than sugar. And like, there should be these bars that are mocktail only bars, and that way when I go up to order a mojito, I don't have to order a virgin mojito. I can just order a mojito and get it without the booze in it, or a screwdriver without the booze in it, or a gin blossom without the gin. That's what I want.
Hold on,
I
question.
think that would be
Hold
great.
on. What is it? Is a screwdriver? Is a virgin screwdriver just
Tomato
a
juice?
cup of orange juice?
You could have like imitation flavored alcohol or whatever in there.
No, hold on. He's not done. Talk about the servers, what they get paid, and your other rules.
We don't have any servers because it's just a bar, and you just go up to the bartender, and the bartenders make you the mocktails, and they get paid well over minimum wage, so there's no tipping involved at all. It takes that anxiety off the table.
So
why wouldn't that be great?
So
and there could be games people could play. There could be like air hockey tables where people could play games while they were there, or play darts. And like you could have mocktails, and you don't have to worry about people getting too booze because there's no booze involved. And I think it would be a lot of fun. Wouldn't it be a cool place to? No, but people could bring their own food.
You think what place can survive
this
on
isn't a business.
serving $2 juice? Like, do you know what it costs to like just operate a fucking business in a main city like a New York or Toronto, like just in any main downtown core? Or like population.
Well, I don't want to
center?
operate it. I'm just saying I'd like to go there occasionally.
But how is this a real
place?
place?
It's a juice bar that's charging a toonie for a shot of orange juice.
It's not doing that. Again. These mocktails are incredible. Can be incredibly elegant.
Listen,
they could be like hyper
you can
expensive.
order a mocktail anywhere.
Yeah.
No, but then I have to like specifically request.
So
the shame
so
factor of
what,
saying, "Oh, I'd like to have
hold on. What is the
rum and
shame
Coke,
factor of all of this? Is that you feel bad about it because someone at the table might be like, "You're a pussy because you drank a mocktail"? You should be enough of a
be any judgment.
You should be enough of a man to not give a shit about that.
There shouldn't be any
Who
judgment.
cares?
And it should be,
Honestly,
it should be
I don't-
alcohol free.
You probably go out. If you went out more, I think like if you asked any waiter at like a nice restaurant that has a cocktail menu, and you said like how common is it for someone to order a mocktail, they would see like it's insanely common for someone to want something on this menu and say like no alcohol, and they make it, and it's like not embarrassing or an issue, like when you're in like a hockey locker room after pickup, like you're going to the bar with the boys, they're gonna call you a pussy. Like I don't even know who you're going out with. It's gonna call you a pussy at this point.
I never said that was the issue. The issue was that
I don't
you
even
just
know what.
Don't even put people into the circumstance that they should
saying-
have to feel any shame about ordering.
But
This is like your fat gym hours.
Yeah,
this is so fucking out. Like no.
And so the whole place is mocktails only because more people
how does
are
it
not
make
drinking
money?
and want dry.
No,
and want dry facilities.
this is your big thing right here. If drinking is down, especially amongst the younger generation, as someone pointed out to you, it's not because they want to drink mocktails. They're just out of the drinking game. They want ketamine. They want prescription pills. That's what they're doing now.
They're not like binge drinking like us, like we did.
That's what we did. So they're just consuming a little bit of alcohol and just doing a bunch of prescription drugs. That doesn't really lead to going for mocktails all the
they're
time.
drinking some seltzers or something.
And
they make these good new drinks.
The number one thing that you said, Geoff, was someone at a bar will order a mocktail. Could you imagine sitting down and drinking like 5 mocktails in a row? What are you gonna have, like a package of Sour Patch Kids too? Like Jesus fucking Christ! No one wants that.
Yeah.
Of course, you could have sugar-free options, and there could be games that you could play there.
How is this
there with your friends.
How is this a business? This is a business for one day, and then you go out of business.
Be lots of fun.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. You're paying your bartenders more than minimum wage, asking them for not to tip, and then charging $2 sugar drinks that no one wants more of.
Well, whatever like a normal cocktail costs, cut it in half.
So, like,
can I just get a like a Kool-Aid juice box?
Again, you're just denigrating this whole idea, and if you think that's funny, that's fine. But mocktails actually are can be very complicated. And here you're just calling it Kool-Aid.
No, they're as complicated as they're just missing the alcohol ingredient. Like I get it. It's the same routine.
I'd love an espresso martini without the booze.
Would you?
Sure. Or a margarita without the tequila.
It's just an espresso? Yeah.
Like a rum and Coke, but without the rum.
So you want a Coke?
But like add like something like imitation flavoring in there that isn't alcoholic.
This is such a terrible idea.
People would love it. They'd love it. People are
wouldn't.
always looking for spaces where there isn't alcohol.
Are they? Because remember you were talking about these non-alcoholic bars, and then we looked into them, and it just turned out they all lost money, and they were vanity projects?
It would be a lot of fun to have a mocktail facility, and that's all you sell, nothing else.
But
don't even
that can't.
understand.
Okay, so you're charging $2 drinks now, which you just said.
They don't
No,
have
specials,
to be $2. That's just a
specials.
special. The
Okay,
average
so
price would be
what-
like half of a
So
of an alcohol
so
cocktail.
so give an alcohol. You mean a cocktail? So give me your price for a mocktail. What's your average price for a mocktail?
I don't know, like $5.
Okay, so
$6.
so $5. So one of the biggest margins that you're going to make, Geoff, in the restaurant industry is selling booze. And what happens after someone has one drink of booze, Geoff? What do they want?
Yeah, they usually say, yeah, you know what? And when they offer you a refill, you say,
Yeah.
buckle to the peer pressure. Yeah, I want one.
I'll have another. Then you're two, and you're like, yeah, I'll have another.
This is exactly the peer pressure I'm trying to get rid of. This is exactly what I'm trying to excise.
This is the whole business model, Tim. Because then you're like
that's
three
that
drinks.
business model.
Well, the other one's not a real business model. It's a way for you to light your fucking money on fire. The other
one that
The other part of it too is that like once you start losing your ambitions a little bit, Geoff, is that hey, you know what? I will take 20 wings. I will take that. You just stop caring after a while. That's where they're making their money off of you. Not Tim coming in twice a year and ordering a mocktail and leaving for $6. And okay, I asked him. And we all asked him how much it would cost to lease out one of these facilities in order for you to have a bar that sold mocktails only. Do you know what price Tim quoted me on how much it would be to lease, like the rent monthly for a bar?
I mean, he has no clue. He thought
Guess what
I
he
don't know.
guessed?
$1,000.
$3,000. And then I sent him a storefront property in Halifax. That was, well, how much was it, Tim? 12,500.
12,000, something extraordinarily high.
Yeah,
12,000.
yeah.
And that's
In
not
population
that's not a
centers,
very
yeah,
good
that's-
space. So where are you making your money?
Well, you're gonna make money from volume sales.
It's not like the drinks don't cost.
People
you
are gonna want to
anything.
go.
No, they won't. They'll be like, "This is awful." Maybe if you host the world's biggest loser convention, maybe you get people.
You could
to show
have
up.
karaoke nights, and you could have.
You know what
trivia
fuels
nights.
karaoke night? People drinking some booze and getting over their fear of going up in front of people.
Well, not everybody wants to be in a facility all the time that's loaded full of booze. There are some people who would
is-
love to have bar experiences without the booze.
I don't know if
Right.
they do. A part of the. It's like you say, like, hey, maybe they're alcoholics who are off the wagon or on the wagon.
Well, but it's not just for those types of people. I mean,
No,
obviously
but-
it is
but-
for those types
no,
of
but
people.
those-
But it's
I
also
don't
for
know
people
if-
who
I
just
don't
don't
know
want
if
to be
those-
around booze all the time.
Listen, I don't know if those people want to go to bars, the place where they probably went and got drunk all the time. It's probably not a great like 1v1 for them, even if the place doesn't sell liquor.
Yeah, what if like an actual bar just in their like least traffic time did mocktail like hour for you, Tim? Like that's the most you can hope for. But this is
But in that case,
certifiably-
no booze for that whole hour. Only mocktails.
This is certifiably crazy. It's just like your demand on gyms to have like locked off fat hours.
Well, again, I believe Jared came up with the term chubby hour, which I liked.
Sure, chubby,
The idea that
husky,
for 1
husky.
hour a day, people of-
pleasantly plump.
people of size would have like exclusive rights to the gym. I think it's a great idea.
Exclusive rights.
Would it be
Yeah,
would it be just like now and they just wouldn't show up? And the gym would
I
be
think
empty.
I think people would show up if there was an hour away from the judgment and away from all the criticism.
I think
Yeah,
I
I'd
think,
show
I,
up.
I
To feel,
think
I'd show up to feel better about myself.
you are such a main
See people
character.
way bigger.
You think that everyone just cares about what you're doing. No one gives a fuck what you're doing. Order your.
That's true.
Just go to a regular bar and order a mocktail. I've done it. So I asked our friend, our richest friend, Geoff, in our group chat, like if Tim is serious, maybe he can get the money from him to open up this facility. And this was his response. I'm not investing in this idiotic idea. Do you know how disgusting you'd feel drinking a pitcher of mocktails? It's just gross, syrupy, sugary shit. Do you know who thinks mocktails are cool? My 13-year-old daughter. And even she will have one because they are literally undrinkable beyond 1 or 2 max. Mocktails are for children and pregnant women. That's your clientele.
Aren't like mocktails like Shirley Temples? Like, isn't that
That's
a mocktail?
one form. That's one form.
Yeah, Tim. I don't
Just
know.
some quick maths here,
Oh,
Tim.
one second. Jared's on the case. Let's hear this.
Yeah, just some quick maths. You would need to sell 83 mocktails a day just to cover the rent. That, I'm not sure. Like Pat said, the profit margins, man. I don't know. That's without salary, extended salary for no tips. That's without buying anything at all just to cover the rent. It's 83 mocktails
It's
a day.
the TVs for the karaoke machine, Tim.
Yeah, the staff, the lighting, the insurance.
Well, yeah, but I could get sponsorships for stuff
What?
too.
What?
Like Mocktail Karaoke Hour presented by
You know who
whatever.
sponsors bars? It's those alcohol
Alcohol
companies. They're are running their promotions and giving them the stuff.
Well, you could have the company that sells the grenadine be the sponsor or something.
You should reach out to them, see if they're real keen on that.
Like, I'm not interested in running a place like this. This is just a place that I think would be cool to be able to go to on occasion.
But you'll never
For the
go there.
4 mocktails
you
you want to have a year, like just
order them at a regular place.
Restaurants.
Like Jared,
that make great cocktails.
Jared, you were a bartender. Did you ever have to rig up a ton of mocktails?
I worked at a bar for 5 years. I would say I made 7 mocktails.
Really?
Oh,
Aside from small
so there
children.
we go.
That's
See?
not good, Tim.
There we go. Because people I bet you it's because people felt intimidated to ask.
I would
No, I
assume.
think it's
I
because
would
they all
have
wanted
assumed they
liquor
were
in
way
there
more.
instead.
Well, what sort of bar? No, whatever. I guess I was wrong. I assumed they'd be way more popular. Like that, it wasn't that uncommon.
My
but
wife
I
drank
guess it
them
is.
when she was pregnant,
Yeah, same.
and she'd have one, and then she would have like water.
Perrier makes these new mocktails that are like mojitos, and they're so good.
Good.
Enjoy them.
I've been enjoying them.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying them. And it made
enjoy
me
'em.
think it'd be great to have a bar that sold these sorts of drinks.
There's like Perrier stuff in the liquor store.
No, it's non-alcoholic.
Oh, damn. Oh, so it's just like okay, I know. What
So
you
it's like a citrusy, minty flavored drink.
Out of all your business ideas, this one's near the bottom.
Well, it's
In
just,
terms of-
it's
yeah.
a place I'd like to. These are not ideas for me to run. They're just I, as a patron, what would I like to see in the world? And I'd like to be able to go to a bar where there wasn't any alcohol and it was just mocktails, which are delicious, and people could just hang out and play air hockey or do karaoke or play darts
I was
or play
gonna-
crib and
it's-
just enjoy their.
It's funny because when you started, you took a brief pause. They can do that. It's like, yeah, they can come. They can do mocktails and a bunch of drugs in the back, and we can sell those to
and-
them and make money.
And the
course
waiters would wear shirts that say "Don't tip us."
There wouldn't be waiters; there would just be bartenders.
This doesn't sound like a very fun place. It sounds like Starbucks.
There would be signs that say "No tipping allowed."
Sounds like children's Starbucks. Looks like you just invented like a kid's.
All right, well, yeah, fine, but you don't have any respect for the whole mocktail thing. You kept calling it Kool-Aid. So.
I don't think anyone said that. It's just you can order them anywhere.
Yeah, I would just respect you more if you just ordered your mocktail at the restaurant with the cocktail menu.
I don't want that.
Well, I'm sorry, they're a main character. It's not all about what you want now, is it?
You and your safe spaces.
Yeah, well, there would be like 8 safe spaces in the mocktail bar. That's a part of like there's no tipping. There's a safe space over here for Tim where he can't be criticized over there and not feel shame about ordering mocktails, which he shouldn't anyway because no one cares.
Please, if I were to go out and order a mocktail, I would be teased.
Oh, of course you would. But why do you care?
Well, just it would be
I
nice
would
if
be
we
the
had a
one-
place to go where no one could tease.
I would be the one teasing you. Of course I would. But you shouldn't care. You want
Just, it would be nice. It would
enjoy
just
it.
be nice to have places that are dry, that people could enjoy things that are like mocktails are really tasty.
Okay, then you can do that anywhere.
Anyway, all right. well,
I take
this is
sips
my
of my
idea.
kids' juice boxes once in a while.
Again, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Would
right
they
here.
ha-
This
would
is
they
the
have
atti-
would they
They're
have mini
tasty.
sips?
This is the attitude. I love mini sips.
So you would sell those.
Well, you could use mini sips as a mix.
Oh my god. So they'd be low quality mocktails too at this mocktail bar.
Well, they would be all sorts of, from the top shelf to the more democratic taste.
Did you see so Paul is in Costa Rica. Shout out Paul, because it just started snowing outside here as soon as we started doing this show. So I was very jealous of Paul being in a very warm condition. But I'm going to throw up the video right now on the screen, and he sent it to all of us. So Cust, he asked you how you would beat the house on this buffet, and you had some strong words for Paul's buffet.
What I said was I get very concerned about eating out in countries that I don't know, that I would stick to very safe stuff. Like, you can't drink the water in some places. You have to be very cautious. And so me, like, I would just like eat fruit that was that I could peel and just would be, even though I'm sure that food is all perfectly safe and perfectly fine, I'm just super cautious about any time I'm like outside of my home base. I don't even like going over to people's houses to eat food unless I know them really well. Like that in and of it, like, so it's hard for me to eat food in unusual places.
But you have no problem going to restaurants around here, which I've sent you like the health code violations that they all have. You still go there. That's not a problem for you, even though
I can't
even though you know
explain.
that there's like mice living in the like oven of these places.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration.
That was at the Pizza Delight.
Well, I
Which
get
you
it.
like.
That I do like it. My point was when I saw that, I was like, Paul is in Costa Rica, and I don't know what their food. And Paul sent a list later, showed they're actually quite high. I just don't know what water you can drink there, what you can eat there, and just so to be super safe, I would just stick to very simple stuff.
Now, I don't think that's right. Costa Rica, between Germany and Belgium in clean drinking water, 18th in the world.
I did not expect that. I thought it would be like other Central American countries or Mexico, where you can't drink the water or you'll get sick.
But you're also at like a nice resort with people.
But there was a horsey right outside of the hotel hanging around.
It's a mini
Paul
horse.
made a very strong accusation towards you.
Well, I'm not going to make that accusation towards Tim, but I do think it's something to reflect on a little bit, that you're scared of some of these countries. People live in these countries, you know that, right?
Of course they do.
They eat the food there.
I mean,
I'm sure it's perfectly fine. I'm just I'm very cautious about eating outside of like my circle of like even in, like, how do I describe it? Like there are places all over the place that I would be uncomfortable eating. I stick to what I know, and I stick to what I know is super safe, and I know fast food is super safe.
Your
So
stomach
stick
is
to that.
probably so weird that, like, in some weird way, you just like trying foods in a different culture would probably just upset your stomach, even if the foods were good, because
Yes.
it might be so different from what your stomach, like, you might get a tummy ache for a day because your stomach
Part of
is
the reason I don't like to
adjusting
travel,
to-
because like I don't
Come
know what I
on.
can eat.
Well,
So I don't travel outside of like some very routine places because like I don't know what I can eat. I don't know
like,
what
I'd go,
You can
like,
eat
I'd
it all.
pizza and pastries. Like, what are you worried about? Worst case.
anyway.
Yeah, you can eat it all. You can eat it all.
It was
I'm
like
sure I could, but I'm most comfortable eating the
Like
things
Burger
that I
King?
know.
no,
some
you
first-
this is just another excuse for you to shove more fast food down your gullet. That's all it is.
What I know is that fast food will be the same, like recognizable.
you know that
fast
you can
food.
eat the unhealthiest thing for you possible, so you will seek that out wherever possible.
You know there's a Subway for you somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. There's a Domino's or a McDonald's or a Burger King or a KFC. I would stick to that.
But this is free food. Why would you go anywhere else? You just accused Jeff of
good
that
point.
last week.
Good point. You paid
Yeah.
for it. Part of the
But
package.
I've never.
Someone paid for it. The sponsor paid
If it's
for
a
it.
country I don't know what I don't know.
What do you mean? Like, it's cheese. Like, it's a breakfast buffet. It's bacon. It's cheese. It's yogurts. It's
Yeah, but when I eat cheese in Canada, I know the cheese is coming from Canada. I know that the dairy farmers of Canada have certain regulations, and I know what the kind of cheese I'm going to get.
Do you think?
I don't know what
the
kind of cheese
fancy
I'm gonna get
hotel is trying to poison its
Of course
people?
not. Of course not. But I'm just so in
Yeah,
my
but
own head
Domino's
about
is
these
making
things.
that cheese too, man.
I'm just so
That's it.
in my
Yeah,
own,
when you
own
go to
head about
Domino's,
these
it's
things.
the same cheese.
I can't even defend myself, and I don't
I'm not-
want to try.
I'm not saying it's the same cheese, but it's in the same country. Like, it's going
I'm
through
just
the same process.
very obsessive about these things.
Like, you would go to Italy and be afraid of a pizza
Absolutely. If I went to Italy or if
because
I
it
went to
wasn't.
Germany,
I love Domino's, but because it wasn't Domino's, like, it would give you the heebie-jeebies.
it would. I don't know where that cheese came from. I don't know where the
a
water
lovely
that
cafe
they use.
restaurant recommended by the concierge.
No, I don't know where the water is coming from
Oh
that they
my-
use to make the dough. Like that would make me anxious.
Reflect.
Like
Reflect. dude. Reflect.
Like, no, Italy would scare me. Germany would scare me.
Most insane, you psycho.
No, like if I went to McDonald's, I would rather have a coffee or if I went to Paris, I would rather have a coffee from McDonald's than at a cafe on the Champs-Elysees.
And you'd be afraid, and you'd rather a croissant from McDonald's too instead of a baked pastry.
Only because I know
Oh.
the standards that McDonald's are going to uphold. And I don't know the standards that I'm going to get at a boulangerie there in Paris. It might be excellent, but I would be less comfortable with it than I am with what I know. And what I know is safe and it won't do me any harm. And so, yes, I don't know in Costa Rica what the regulations are on the food, but I'd happily eat at their McDonald's. And I don't
Well,
know.
how do you know what
their
their McDonald's regulations are?
McDonald's has uniform standards that will not be abrogated in any way, insofar that they will taste the same.
I assure you, you start going to some places out of Mumbai and go to the McDonald's there. Maybe the regulations aren't up to code versus what they might be down the street from you.
When I travel to the States, I stick to fast food almost all the time because I know what I'm going to get. When I leave my home base, like that circle of 20 to 30 kilometers around me, I am uncomfortable eating anything other than food that I know and can recognize its origins in terms of the restaurant. So yeah, if I were with Paul on this trip to Costa Rica, I would eat oranges that I could peel and wash myself, and I would eat bananas, and I would eat at fast food places. But I just don't have the same confidence in the buffet, even though I'm sure it's an excellent one. But I would feel the same way in France or Italy or in Belgium or wherever. I feel the same way in the United States. I feel the same way everywhere. That's how I feel.
Wouldn't you feel better about Europe knowing that the European Union has every regulation possible that goes into their food?
Sure, but still I don't know. I just don't know.
But you risk it here. They have better standards than we do here.
Vote for Tim.
But what I know is what I'm comfortable with. And so, yes, I'm sorry. I would rather have that McDonald's hamburger than something, than some schnitzel in Munich.
You'd rather have a McChicken than a schnitzel.
Yes, I would.
Like
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable eating the McChicken than I would a schnitzel.
I'd love some schnitzel.
In Nuremberg.
Some pretzel bread.
I'd rather a pretzel bun from Wendy's.
Oh my God.
I'm not exaggerating this. I am very, very, very obsessive about food away from my home base.
But
like we had those
you're
bagels in Montreal, and like I ate them, but the whole time I was eating them, I was like, man, I don't know where these came from.
Montreal
bagels. I don't
dude.
know the shop. I don't know where it's from. It's like I just get uncomfortable.
No,
sorry.
That's really. This might be one of Pat said like this. Even for people that have listened for like a decade, this is eye-opening, I think. And it's hard for you to do that.
I don't think so. I think people know that I'm very particular about these sorts of things.
No, like you saying you think Pizza Hut is better than Italian pizza is weird.
Not better. Better.
No, but that's what you said. They like it's got pizza in the name. It'd be better than this
I do
restaurant.
stand by that point, yeah.
So I just mean like that's weird, but you actually like being afraid of it, I think was a bit more of an unknown. I swear, I don't think this is. I don't know. This is
like restaurants.
Like I've never responded to you. Like Pat's literal response to you. I've never just said like, bro, reflect. Like that's what this is. He usually has something for you. This time it's like I think you need to reflect on this.
But I can overcome it. Like we went to restaurants in Montreal, and I just overcame it and ate.
But don't you just get to the point where you did it, you enjoyed it, you thought it was good, that like, hey, maybe I've been wrong about this.
No, I was like, well, I got through it. It was fine. It was delicious. But at the same time, I would just feel more comfortable eating what I know.
It just sounds like you want fast food all the time. You got to break that
habit.
Well,
just not just fast food, but it's the things that I know and I'm comfortable with.
So if we had gone back to that restaurant we went to in Montreal every night we were there, you would have been fine because you know what it's all about.
I mean, I would still have to have overcome psychologically that, but I would have overcome it. And then in time, it would have been fine because it would have been a normal thing that I did.
Okay, Jared,
Or like I can eat my grandmother's cooking because I've been eating her cooking my whole life and I know it and I'm comfortable with it. But some other person's cooking that I don't know, I have trouble eating the food because I don't know what their cooking's
How
like.
do I know that your grandmother's standards are up to my grandmother's standards or that restaurant
Well,
standards?
My grandmother's standards, I can assure you, are at a very, very high level of cleanliness.
Are they? Is it
Very,
good, though?
very
Like,
high.
when you want to eat, like my grandmother, listen, she cooks a lot. She's not a great cook at all. Like it's edible, it's fine, but it's not like, man, that was a great meal. I wish I'm so glad that I came here to eat and not somewhere really nice that we could have went. So I'm sure that
I'm more comfortable eating there because I just there's no stress there. There's no anxiety.
she fucking eat some SpaghettiOs for you and you're good to go.
No, but my point is like anytime I go out, I'm like, okay, and like to an unusual place that I don't know, I've got to overcome that. Like, okay, like I'm just gonna do it, and I do it, but it's like it's not as comforting.
So beating the house, Geoff, was imperative in Montreal for you. In a place where Tim wasn't even familiar with, but we went to that media center, it was fine. We did the same thing with all the free food at Super Bowl. It was fine. Go to Costa Rica, it's not fine. He'll be going. You wanted to have a steak sandwich from the keg instead of eating the free food in the tent. He would just never touch the free food that was available at the restaurant, at the hotel.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a different one, I think, Tim.
Yeah, this is new. Very shocking stuff here. Jared, did you want to...
How is it shocking?
I find this to be somewhat shocking because you love... I thought your love of free things would be more than your love of McDonald's.
You ate the MREs, man.
Yes.
Like you gulped them up.
But I knew how the MREs are being prepared and like.
Did
How
you?
do you-
You
how
saw
do you know
Jared
my
leave.
cooking
You saw
style?
Jared leave the studio, then he'd come back in. You could have pissed
Sorry.
him for all you know.
Wasn't it from a bucket? Like, isn't that how you buy it?
Get a
Like
bucket from Costco, and I can trust Costco.
yeah, it's a bucket, like the bucket that has the salt to melt ice.
Yeah, but it's from Costco, and I can trust Costco.
I'm picturing that episode of Seinfeld where he goes into the restaurant with Poppy, is it? And he doesn't wash his hands after rocking a piss.
I go to
just
all
shaking his
kinds of
head.
places. I go to all kinds of places, but it's something that you just have to say, all right, I'm going to enjoy this. And I'm most comfortable with the foods that I know and like the best. And I think everybody is. Maybe not everyone's willing to verbalize it in the same way, but it's true.
I just find it shocking that you would have a free breakfast buffet available to you every single morning and you would not go to it. You would go somewhere else. That's the shocking part.
Well, I mean, I would go to it to get some fruit and some bottled water and stuff like that.
So you're not beating the house. Your whole thing is beating the house.
I don't know. I'm in a country that I don't know the rules, and I don't know
The
where all
rules is
food
they're trying to
coming
kill
from.
you with their food at this nice
Like
5-star
I don't
hotel.
know I don't know what the sausages like. What are abattoirs like there? I just don't know.
You can try it. See how it is. See if you like
You
it.
try it, and if you don't like it, you don't get it the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
And then by
I'm
the
sure-
last
I'm
day of your
sure I would
trip,
make-
you've got this great
I'm
plate of all the
sure
things
I
you
would
like.
make myself try it, especially if there were no like McDonald's like next door. I would eventually make myself. But I think people can understand what I'm saying. And unless you're
No.
like within the confines of your own little like circle of comfort, like eating things that are outside of your comfort zone, it can be difficult.
No one understands you rathering a pastry from McDonald's than like a French cafe
I would be
in Paris. In Paris,
I
no
suspect
one understands that.
the
I
Parisian.
promise.
I'm sure that the boulangerie or the patisserie's croissant would taste better than the one at McDonald's. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is I would feel less anxiety eating the one from McDonald's than I would from the patisserie because I know the McDonald's. It's hard to explain.
It's a piece of bread.
You like preservatives.
piece of bread.
You like preservatives.
Yeah. You like whatever's unhealthier, you're choosing that option, is what we're going with
Whatever's
here.
more mass produced.
The thing
and
about
flash frozen.
things is that mass produced are going to be by and large safer.
The one
They're
thing I
not
will
safer.
give
But you're actively killing yourself by eating this stuff all the time.
The one thing I will give Tim in this, even though I disagree with like pretty much every premise, and not a reason, this isn't even a reason to feel how he feels, is like the modern standards and practices at, say, a McDonald's is probably like cleaner than like who knows, like a mom and pop restaurant. But
yes,
that doesn't matter. Like that's not a reason to not go to these great food places
I
who I'm
agree.
sure are still fine.
Like, I'm not saying don't go to them. I go to them. I'm just saying my comfort level is always much stronger when I'm going to the places that I know. And like when I'm outside of my home base, and particularly outside of Canada, I feel like that escalates to 100% for me.
All right, let's move on to these NFL awards then.
Well, like I just feel like I've been made to feel like I sound like I'm
an insane person. You can vote. People will judge. You can vote
I
in the
just don't-
Custies right now. The link is in the description. You can go make your voice heard right now.
like if
you
this
think
is
Tim
so like
crazy.
shocking, maybe I'll just stop giving my opinions. If this is how people are going to react to what I think are very reasonable opinions.
that you would pass on the buffet with like very normal food in it because it's in Costa Rica, so you could go to McDonald's. Just sounds
It's
like
not
you
in
want
Canada. It's not in my
It just
area.
sounds like you want to go to McDonald's.
I would prefer. If I would prefer a sausage McGriddle. Yes, I would. By the way, have you had their new breakfast wraps yet, Jeff?
No,
No.
I'm not really experimental.
So I wasn't going to, but then I got the pop up and they were talking about them, and so I went.
You and the pop-ups.
Then I did disable them since our conversation there last week.
Just
anyway,
delete the app.
I'm not going to do that. But
Why?
anyway, just it's
So
whatever.
it doesn't sound like you're very serious about not going to these places.
I got rid of the pop-ups. I think they don't happen as often.
If they're still happening, you didn't get rid of it. Just turn off notifications.
Anyway,
Go
the
to
new
settings,
breakfast wrap
go to your
is very
McDonald's
tasty.
app, click on it, turn off notifications. It'll take like 3 seconds.
Okay.
You can do it while we're talking right now, actually. We'll see if you can do it.
Done.
There you go.
Wow.
Easy. Were they off?
Now they're off.
Now
Good
they're
job,
off.
Tim.
There
Proud
you
of
go.
buddy.
Now it's not going to hit you when you're leaving the office anymore. You should do that for all of those apps.
Yeah,
You know those
that's a
places
good
are
idea.
there.
I do.
Like you don't
I
need
do.
a reminder that
I drove
there.
home today, and I drove by so many deals, and I felt very proud that I drove by them
good
all
for you.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's step one. Now step two
because
is
I'm
doing
making
it.
something tonight
Step
by
two,
myself.
Step two is doing it again tomorrow.
I'm making a quiche.
Ooh,
Very
wow.
good. I mean, I
Really?
practiced what I preached this week. On Sunday evening, I cooked 30 chicken thighs, like 2 pounds of ground beef, and we made some like quinoa turkey ground with like lentils and kidney beans and that kind of thing as a mix. Now we just have a bunch of food in the fridge, and boom, we just make different meals out of it every day.
Seemed like Sia had some very kind words to say about that segment.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Listen, Sia's Mr. Healthy and Mr. Positivity. I saw
And that was very nice.
There was some jabroni, Jeff, in my comments who was just like, "You're too mean to Tim," and basically this guy is friendless. He's that guy from South Park. You have 0 friends. If this is how you think that, like, be nice all the time. Could you imagine? What'd you say it was?
If
like,
I went
Tim?
to a social gathering exactly. It's like if I went to a social gathering and everyone was being very nice to me the whole time, I would be so freaked.
Yeah, but are they being nice to everyone else?
And if they were being nice to other people too, I'd be like, okay, hold on. What is going on here? Is an asteroid about to hit planet Earth or something? Which, as I understand it, is like the plot line of Lone Star 911 right now. An asteroid is supposed to hit the Earth or something.
with
I
Rob
don't know
Lowe?
what that is.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh.
watching this season, so I don't know whether that's true, but I think I read that.
Interesting. That's not where I would have anticipated that show going.
Tim,
No.
did Liv come up in the NFC Championship broadcast?
No, I didn't see it anyway.
Yeah, that's a bad move. If they're going to promote it, they should have been promoting it there.
I wish I would have. I mean, I still think it's going to be at least the first tournament will do huge numbers, and then we'll see if it has any staying power. But
I would guess that
everybody's going to want to watch the first weekend.
I don't know if everyone is going to want to watch it, but I think that the Adelaide one has a better chance of doing well ratings-wise than this one.
Are they going to do night golf there too?
No, but just by
No.
the time should match up better being in Australia.
I think so. We'll see. I mean, if Fox puts their shoulder to the wheel on this,
But they didn't because they didn't.
should do
They
all
didn't.
right.
But that's why we asked you: did they advertise it during the NFC Championship game?
No,
If they didn't,
I
then
didn't-
they're
I
not.
didn't see it.
Then they're not doing that.
yeah. But I mean, CBS advertised the PGA Championship and not the Masters.
I
which thought was strange.
I did see a Daytona 500 thing.
They did a
during the
Daytona
broadcast.
500, and they said CBS focused on Quail Hollow and the PGA Championship, not the Masters.
Do you know why?
No idea why.
Because the Masters doesn't need selling, pal.
No, but they will sell the Masters. This is around the
would-
time of year they start selling the Masters.
They will run ads for it. But they need to sell the PGA Championship. They don't need to sell the Masters to people.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
MVP. The current odds for MVP at the moment are Josh Allen minus 250, which I was actually pretty surprised about. Lamar plus 185, then you got Burrow 16-1, Barkley 50-1, and then the Goof at 125-1. I actually think there's a lot of value on Lamar at plus. Out of all of the awards we're going to talk about, Geoff, Lamar at plus 185 is probably the best bet on the board.
So I have a pretty nice Josh Allen plus 500, and I think I got to bet some of that Lamar, Tim.
Like, it feels like a coin flip.
Yeah, I actually
Lamar
might even think
wasn't
Lamar
in-
should. Lamar, by the stats, you can make the case that they might feel obligated to give it to Lamar because his stats are better than they were when they given it to him previously.
And they're better than all of Allen's stats. And
Yeah.
moreover, Allen is not in the final 5 for Offensive Player of the Year, and Jackson is.
Well,
So I feel like I absolutely have to bite into my Allen bet and bet some of that. Even if it's a little less than that, I'm shocked to be able to have that opportunity still because I regret not doing it when Allen took like a bit of a runaway lead when Books had him at like -4 and 500.
700, I thought.
Yeah, some huge run-ups. I probably should have hedged on Lamar then, and I got greedy, and then Lamar kind of flipped the script in the last few weeks. So I still have an opportunity. I got to think I should take it.
Well, let's talk Offensive Player of the Year then, because as you mentioned, Tim, Lamar is involved in this. Barkley is going to win this award. He's minus 10,000 to win. Lamar is the third favorite at 66-1, behind Chase at 25, behind and ahead of Burrow at 80, and Henry at 250-1. There is something in me that thinks that because he's nominated for this award, that he's not going to win MVP. I think that's the logic behind the odds for MVP.
I don't understand. You'll have to spell that out because that doesn't make any sense.
Because when you do the nominations, that you like, why most of the time, like if you're up for MVP, you're not going to be in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year because you're an MVP candidate. That's the prestigious award. But the fact that enough people voted for him in this feels like they wanted to vote for Josh Allen MVP and Lamar for this one, but he's not going to get enough support from everyone and Barkley will win it. Then all of a sudden Allen gets all these extra MVP votes. Like they were trying to split the case, and that's why Josh Allen's not a part of the other one.
I think Occam's razor applies here. The simplest solution is probably the most correct, namely that Jackson is nominated for both because he's likely to win MVP.
Oh, I would say it's the other way. I think if you're looking for the path of least resistance here is that Allen hasn't won yet, and he did it with a team that people perceive to be very bad, and they won them more games. Then he won more games than Lamar did this year.
I don't want to say very bad, but like high levels of regression people thought could
like people
happen in
thought
Buffalo.
Baltimore was going to be good. They thought that this was, Tim talked about for next year with the Bills, this was the year to step back with the Bills, but Allen got them to the point where they were the number 2 seed and they were the only team really outside of week 18 to beat Kansas City this year.
I don't disagree with any of it.
Like if Lamar had never won, I think that he wins, but I do think that will be held against him. I think the odds do reflect that. Like I think it's 50-50 between them. I think that if you had them both listed at -100 or -110 each, I think you'd get equal action on both sides probably. But something's up here that Allen is still such a big favorite in this spot. Anyway, that's my takeaway from it.
I'm happy that I'm shocked that he's still this much of a favorite.
I mean, you could probably shop around for some numbers where it's not as much, but yeah, there's something with him like because they rarely put the MVP into the offensive player or I guess defensive player of the year category. Like it feels like that's supposed to be isolated to like honestly the best fantasy player.
Yeah, agreed.
Maybe that's what they should change that award to. Like if you're looking for sponsorship for your Mocktail bar, Tim, maybe that's what it should be. Remember they had the Diet Pepsi Rookie of the Year award one year?
I do.
You could have like the
Is it not?
The Yahoo Fantasy Offensive Player of the Year award.
Trying to think the last time somebody won MVP and Offensive Player of the Year was
Peyton
Patrick
Manning?
Mahomes.
I remember in the NBA,
Patrick
they had, like,
Mahomes in 2018.
I remember in the NBA, like condoms would sponsor an award, like one of the brands.
Cam Newton was when he won MVP. Matt Ryan was when he won MVP.
So we're going back over 10 years now.
And Mahomes was in 2018. After that, Michael
Yeah, but-
Thomas, Henry, Cup, Jefferson, and McCaffrey.
Yeah, but because now they've really decided because we've made QB such a
They've
MVP
separated.
heavy award, we need some delineation. And to Pat's point, it does feel like it's like the fantasy players of the year nominee list.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, that would be my logic behind it. That's the way that I would see it. Because I think it's a pretty difficult vote, honestly. I think there's very compelling cases for both the guys. But do you give it to the guy who's already won 2? Or do you give it to the guy who's won none, who people consider to be better or equal to him? I think that's
is he golfing this? Is he golfing at Pebble Beach, Tim? I'm sure. Is that been in Bill's Reddit? Whether Josh
I haven't
is
seen
gonna...
it yet, but I certainly hope he cuts his hair before he takes the first 2.
I mean, if he does, people will give him like a hard time for some dumb reason. Like, doesn't he deserve to do whatever the hell he wants to do after putting his
Absolutely, he
fucking
does.
body on the line?
He most certainly does.
all
If he
year?
wants to play golf at Pebble Beach, who wouldn't? Pebble Beach is
Yeah.
hot take. If I could play one golf course in my life ever, I would pick Pebble Beach. It wouldn't be St. Andrews. It wouldn't be Augusta. It wouldn't be anywhere else. It would be Pebble Beach. It's the most beautiful golf course in the world. When you watch it on TV, you're like, this is like nowhere else on earth.
And you would be nervous eating in the clubhouse?
Yeah,
Like, I'm honestly asking,
I
like,
would.
you'd be nervous? If I brought you to my supper club, you'd be nervous?
So anxious, but I would still eat there, and I'm sure it would be
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, you think?
But at the same time, would I be when I get a Big Mac, there is a 0% anxiety factor.
Wasn't there a contamination at McDonald's?
There is a 0% anxiety
Hey,
factor.
the last don't forget that the
that-
last time that you said this, that breaking during the show, there was E. coli in McDonald's burgers.
Someone
It's,
died.
it's in the Custies as
America.
most cursed thing of the year.
But
In America,
I don't
people
feel
died
any.
at McDonald's because of McDonald's. It like, what are
Yeah,
you talking about?
I'm just saying I have no. Again, I can't even justify it. I'm just telling you how I feel.
Okay.
You can't tell me how to feel.
Which celebrities are in the 2025 Pebble Beach? Has not been released yet by the PGA Tour, but in previous years, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Steve
Bill
Young,
Murray.
and Buster Posey, and Bill Murray.
Yeah, well,
But it worked out well because they cut the field to only 80 players. So only 80 celebrities can actually be in the field now. And they only play 2 rounds, which is great.
they're probably waiting to hear from Josh. And then there's a celebrity who's like,
How does
"Please
that
don't-"
even work when there's 3 courses?
There's not 3 courses
There's
anymore.
only
They
2
got
this
rid of
year.
Monterey Peninsula.
Oh, there's only 2 courses. Okay.
So, I mean, it works out better because now they get both of the weekend rounds, the highly visible rounds, and now it's a signature event with all of the best players at Pebble Beach for both those days, which is fantastic because people want to see Pebble Beach.
Yeah, why they would go out of their way not to showcase as pretty as all the other courses in California are. Pebble Beach is by far the nicest course on California, and it not being an elevated event every year never made any sense to me.
It's because it was the Pro-Am. And the people just did not want. I mean, the elevated events have only been around for 2 years now. This is the 3rd year, and it wasn't the first year because people really don't like the Pro-Am aspect, man. They hate it. It sucks to watch. It sucks to play with. It's just no fun. So if you could play any other,
and it had
tournament, you
enough
would.
gravitas that PGA and the Tour felt, the CBS and the Tour felt it probably had enough gravitas that it can be like tent-poled without being elevated, even with shitty fields.
Which is what they do with Phoenix now. That Phoenix doesn't need to be an elevated event because people just like watching Phoenix, and players show up and play in Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's become a better TV draw as like a nice lead into the Super Bowl this time around. It's not Defensive Player of the Year. The current odds for Defensive Player of the Year are Surtain -200, TJ Watt +185. Then you're into Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, Bond 10-1, 30-1, 100-1. Do you think when was the last time? I mean, Tim, you would remember this better than I would. When was the last time a corner won this award?
Rivas?
Maybe Rivas?
Asamoah definitely won one, I think.
Did Asamoah win one?
Think he did.
Stephen Gilmore,
Oh yeah.
2019.
Nice.
So
But before that, Charles Woodson. So it has only been once in the last 20 years.
And Palomalu won as a safety, although he was really just a linebacker who played safety. So yeah, you had and then you had Terrell Suggs the year after, who was more of a pass rusher than a linebacker. So do you think there's any merit here, Geoff, to taking TJ Watt at almost 2-1, knowing that you don't see many corners win this award?
I do. I think that's definitely a live bet.
Tim?
I agree completely. I would pick Watt. He's been the best player on defense this year.
Has he been the best player defensively, or does he just make the most notable plays? Because it's a lot. One of the reasons that corners don't get the love is because when they're doing their job right, it's not flashy. It's just passes not being completed, or they're not throwing at them because they're doing too good of a job.
Funny, if you asked me though before I looked at the odds board, you said who were the best 5 players on defense in the NFL this year, I wouldn't have had Surtain even in the top 5.
Really, I felt like so much of the discourse this year around Denver's defense was about him.
Maybe, but I guess I just am biased against defensive backs being valuable enough to be, seems to be middle linebackers and pass rushers are just so much more valuable to a defense.
I don't know about a middle linebacker.
Well, I mean linebackers, like you have your classic like Luke Kuechly style linebackers or whatever, or Micah Parsons style linebackers who they're so valuable compared to a corner.
I mean, I don't know how Kuechly plays, and maybe his just role changes in today's football. But like Micah Parsons, yes, he's a linebacker, but he doesn't do traditional linebacker things.
Or Von Miller when he was the defensive Super Bowl MVP.
Sure, but Von Miller is a pass rusher, is essentially what he is. Just like Micah Parsons is. And these guys can drop, Micah Parsons can drop into coverage as well. Like, that's not, like, the Patrick Willis style middle linebacker isn't just something you see a lot of anymore. Like, it's not as valuable as it was 15 years ago because teams don't run as much as they used to. You need guys who are quick and in coverage, and having like the London Fletcher type middle linebacker who's going to have 34 tackles a game because he's trying to stuff the run because your defensive line is so bad they always get to the second level. Like, that guy doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, you need the guy who's like athletic that can run with the tight end almost.
Yeah. So
and still be like hold his own against the run, but he's got to be able to get out there in space.
Coach of the Year is up next. And again, we have a pretty sizable favorite with Kevin O'Connell being minus 700. Dan Campbell second at 4-1. Then it's Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, and Andy Reid sneaks in here. Who do you think was the biggest snub from this list?
Jim Harbaugh. That was not a team full of a lot of talent to start this year. And
Sean McDermott.
He put that team in the playoffs.
I was going to say McDermott as well. Although we don't consider him like a great coach. I don't think Dan Quinn's a great coach either, but he's in here for what he was able to. Like, this is an accomplishment award of the team that you had, the talent that you took it to. Like, of course, maybe it's because of Andy Reid that they're so good, but like, did Andy Reid really do that great of a job this year versus any other year? I feel like McDermott at least coached the guys up well enough that the Bills got the 2 seed. That people did not expect that to happen.
Tomlin too.
I'm going to throw some holes into the Harbaugh. They don't have a quality win on the schedule. Like, it was a great year from 5 wins to 11 wins. Trajectory's going up. Cap room, draft. Excited to see what 2.0 will be. But without a quality win, like, you can't argue they should have been. No.
Trying to think of who else would be in that conversation. Yeah, that's basically it, isn't it? Todd Bowles?
Yeah.
He's a bad coach. He got the most out of that team, though.
I'm trying to think who else.
Not Raheem Morris. That's funny to think back about those Eagles losses. I was just running them back through my mind. They lost that Monday night game or Sunday night game, whatever it was, to the Falcons when Barkley dropped the catch to win the game. And then they lost the next week to Tampa. Tampa beat the shit out of them. And that was basically the only bad loss that they had all year.
Yeah. There's a bad come from behind Commanders loss, but I think Hurts left that game.
And then Pickett got hurt in that game too. They were down to Cust guy, Tanner McKee.
Yep.
Who he wants the Jets to trade a second-round pick for.
Who I'd love to see have a play in the Super Bowl.
I don't know if he's going to be. He'll be the third. He's the third stringer.
Which blows my mind. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Comeback player of the year. So did they throw out the rules that they set in place, Geoff? I don't know how any of this works.
They didn't. They sent out guidelines. But people could vote for whoever they wanted.
So the guidelines don't mean anything.
Like, they're not discounting votes that didn't meet their guidelines.
They're like the points on whose line is it anyways, May?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. That was on at the gym when I was on
No
today.
way.
And
No way.
And it has the same 4 fucking people still on it.
Oh, that's
They have
really
got to
funny.
be in their 70s by now.
That remember the guy with the thick brim, Greg, whatever his name was, the thick
Yes,
brim.
I do.
He looks fucking. Ryan Stiles looks fucking hurting. He must be 80 years old.
They've got to be in their late 60s, early 70s. All of them.
Ryan Stiles is 65. Wayne Brady looks
Who's
great.
hosting? Who's hosting?
I think it's what's her name? She does the voice of Lana on Archer. Aisha Tyler. I believe she
Okay.
is the host. Host of.
I had
It
no
is.
idea that show has been on the air for what I would have assumed 20 years.
I think it came back. Like it came back in like its new form
Okay.
with exactly the same like people. Like Colin Mockery's on it, Ryan Stiles, and Wayne Brady.
Oh my God.
I feel like he'd be all in
I'd
on
watch.
this. Yeah,
I'd watch.
Wayne Brady looks great, by the way.
I mean, I'm sure it's not as good as I remember it being. It probably wasn't as good then as I remember it being. I'd watch.
I mean, you had a soft spot in their heart because you worked with them when you played Mimi on the Drew Carey show.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it. That's not even close to funny.
Jared, what were the odds for these ones? It's Darnold at what? Darnold, it's Burrow at it's Burrow minus 2. I thought I didn't look at the odds at this one before we started. It was the one I forgot to do. So it's Burrow minus 250, Darnold plus 160, Dobbins, Hamlin, and then Christian Gonzalez at 90 to 1. I didn't realize that Burrow was the overwhelming favorite to win this. I just assumed it was Darnold once people started complaining about what the rules were, Geoff.
Yeah, no, they just here's the thing. And then people who bet Darnold originally were complaining when the AP like reaffirmed their guidelines. And then it flipped to people who were making bets later in the year thinking Darnold couldn't get votes were freaking. If you make a bet on comeback player of the year, it's like entering the madhouse. Like you are entering the fun house. You have no ability to complain about any part of how the bet goes through. Like, because it's just all a shit show. And as a disclaimer, when you're entering that kind of market. That being said, there's a man here who's done something for the first time ever in the history of the league, as far as I'm concerned.
J.K. Dobbins?
And that's a player who's gotten multi-year eligibility for this award. DeMar Hamlin, 80 to 1. I'm not saying I'd bet it, but he deserves to win because he's become like just below league median safety, and that's pretty wild. He's not a special teams player.
He came
died
back
on
from
the
being,
field.
He came back from being denied comeback player of the year last year.
It's
Well,
fun-
that's the reason they made a clarification. Like they wanted to name this goddamn award after the guy.
Is it crazy that he's kind of good now?
Crazy. Well, no, it's not that it's crazy. It's that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or call me a hater or for disrespecting what happened. No, I was disrespecting the comeback player of the year last year. Let's not relitigate that. But in the whole like aftermath of the situation, no one was framing this as like, this is a guy who's going to be like a good contributor for the Bills over the next few years. It was just labeled as like a special teamer, like who was like a flat line. Oh my God, no pun intended.
Oh my goodness, Jeff.
But like no one in the like,
Can we bleep
is
that
he-
out?
no one in the is he gonna play again discourse was like, no, this guy's actually got the ability to start at safety and contribute. So that's, yeah, it's crazy to me. Crazy to me. DeMar Hamlin 80 to 1. I don't think it's a horrible bet. I don't. He's not going to win.
And then we got offensive rookie of the year is not even really worth talking about. I believe it's Jaden Daniels minus 10,000. Then it's Bowers, Nix, Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. I think they got the right 5 rookies. Bucky Irving probably could have gotten to this mix, maybe. I still find it crazy that Drake May made the Pro Bowl for Bo Nix like that. What did he play? Like 10 games? How many games did Drake May play?
Yeah. Well, but fan voting plays a role in it, right? So you probably have.
Does it when it gets to alternates?
I don't know. I presume that
Yeah, I
you're
don't
just
think
ranked
so.
based on where your votes
Maybe
are.
Bo Nix canceled it or declined. I guess that'd have been part of the story. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say number 6 on this list probably would have been Lad.
Yeah. I mean, Ladd really
It was
came
a very
on.
strong crop. It was a strong crop for offensive rookies this season.
Yeah, for sure. Jared, was this you sending us a video in our DM channel, or was this Paul? So Paul's in Costa Rica sending us like Taylor Mathis videos in our DMs. He's having a good night down in Costa Rica. Just a walk and talk and playing some slots. What a rack. Looking great.
You know what? Yeah.
I'm in. I love it. More of these videos. People say they don't like them, but they love them.
No, I like them. They're free, but would you subscribe for them?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Of course not.
Exactly. So that's this other thing she's been hawking, but all in good fun. Go get it. Get the bag, T.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jared, the odds are Jared Verse at -1,000, Mitchell at 7-1, Robinson at 30-1. Fiske? How do you pronounce that guy's last name?
Brandon Fisk.
Fisk? It's not Fiske? He's not
Fisk.
Frost.
No, it's not. It's not the live team, which you mercilessly made fun of me for calling Torque when that exactly is what their name is.
Were they the ones who changed their name?
No, I don't think. Did you see the new Cleeks logo? By the
So
way,
it
it's
was
actually very nice.
It was the Cliques that changed their branding.
Their logo. It's a very nice new logo that Cleeks have, I must say.
Cool. And then last was one of the exciting whites, Geoff. DeJean.
Yeah.
So Jared Verse is going
Cooper
to win.
DeJean. Cooper DeJean.
Jared
yeah,
Verse
great.
is going to win this.
He should.
Yeah.
That Chop Robinson is incredible. He's incredible too. He missed some games this week, but he impressed me almost as much as Verse did this year.
Good name too. That goes a long way when you're dealing with people,
Yes.
especially like me, betting fantasy football. You pay far more attention to skill position players, like the majority of the population does. One way to stand out on the defensive side of the ball is to have a name like Chop Robinson. It's great.
Yeah, I guess. It stands out. It leaves a mark. It's an impressionable name, hard to forget. So you're not wrong in like terms of voting or filling in a ballot. You're not like I think you could be onto something.
And Tim, I wonder if it will work as my Travis Outlaw theory does, that when Chop Robinson is either not good or washed up at some point, that he'll still continue to get contracts because people will think that he's good because they know what his name is, because it's Chop.
It certainly helps.
Can I this is really weird, but I want to go all the way back to the beginning for a moment because with the All-Star game thing, this memory just came to me. And maybe I like fortunate to live in a town that had the team. But as a kid, like when the usher came down the aisle with All-Star ballots and like you take my dad's car key and like poke the things out and like hand back in my pallet, I felt like I was voting for president. It was like, what a moment. What a moment. I loved it.
Do you think they got rid of those because they got rid of car keys?
No. I mean, the internet
Sure.
made it easy, and then Yao Ming would like get 1 billion votes and stuff like that. But yeah.
No, I mean, it was no. Jeff just wanted Pat Borders and Kelly Gruber in every All-Star game and would just vote for them time after time.
Definitely Gruber. Forever. Yeah. You got that right.
Did he ever play for any other team? Like, what happened?
Maybe at the very end for like a year.
Like
but no,
I
it
think-
just
Yeah, he
hard.
played for California.
You see,
I think it was.
I thought he came from the Angels to Toronto.
I think it's the other way around. I think he played for the Angels after the Blue Jays.
I think you were maybe in a year with the Cali Angels.
How old do you think Kelly Gruber currently is, Tim?
Oh my God. He was like oldish in the early 90s. So I'll say like 57.
62.
That's ridiculous.
And you
I
were
saw
he
him-
was actually drafted by the Jays he played there from 84 to 92, and then he played 1 year for the Angels and he was done. And Jeff voted him into the All-Star game twice.
Yeah. I saw him. I still have his like starting lineup figure. Kelly.
You really?
Yeah. He's also like my sister's favorite player. So yeah, we're a big Kelly Gruber house. But I saw him outside of Burns Steakhouse in Tampa Bay once, like 20 years ago. And it was great. He was driving this like rundown white Buick, but it was awesome.
You have to feel bad about those like the good '80s baseball players that
Yeah, they
made
just
basically
missed it,
no
right?
money. Had they have just come along 5 years later, they'd be like multi-generational wealth.
Yeah,
Definitely.
not wrong. So true.
Last thing before we get out of here, guess who I got an update from today, Tim?
Update. I have no idea.
I forgot about the update song. Stefan.
I love that song. Oh, great. How's he doing?
He is doing well, actually. He finally got the check for his car to get his car back.
My goodness, it is late January, and that happened in late September.
He said, took Toyota 10 weeks to get the parts and fix the vehicle. Then Allstate, where he's in good hands, had to send a second check after the first one went missing, so the payment process took another 6 weeks. And here we are 4 months later. He's planning on coming to the live show in Toronto. He might rent a car for that. And he's just going to give Cust a fist bump this time and not shake his hand.
I think this is like people are truly because I think Tim's the draw. Like people just
I don't agree. I don't agree.
The
Cam is
amount.
the draw.
No. Cam could not show up. We do exactly the same. Except Cam wouldn't be there. Cam would just come as a guest at that point. The amount of people in response, I'm sure Geoff was about to say the same thing before I cut him off. Sorry about that, Geoff. Is that the amount of emails that I've got from people who told me that they're coming to verify that Tim is actually a real person.
Yeah, that's it. That voice matches a human being. That matches the pictures that have been posted on the internet. Like that's what people want.
We
But they're
did live videos in Montreal.
Still, they want to see it. They want to see it with their
Okay.
own goddamn eyes. They're just wondering, like, do I want to get close enough to touch him? Because of like Stefan touched you, said hi, and everything went to the shits after.
But it's all fine
I
now.
can still see Jeff's face the next morning, ashen, as he looked at us and said, "I had the most what was the word you used? Like disturbing or whatever the word was, or unsettling direct message I've ever received." I didn't understand, what direct message Geoff must be getting on Rumble. So I mean, this is something else.
Rumble's like
Weird.
YouTube.
You still get direct messages, don't you?
You get what? Do you get direct messages on YouTube all the time, Tim?
I don't know. I don't have an account. I don't know.
You don't have a YouTube account?
No.
You just unsigned in.
What?
Yeah.
How does it remember like the music? You talk about only playing your music from YouTube. You don't have an account to sign in, so it remembers like your playlists?
Can you see your history?
No.
Oh my god.
I specifically have no search history.
Why?
No, but like I can go like I could tell you the last like 10 videos I watched. It'd be an eclectic list, but
Like if I go on YouTube right here on my computer, it says, you have no search history.
But you listen to music on it. Why wouldn't you curate a playlist for yourself that you like of the songs that you like?
Curate a playlist? Like pick songs?
Yes.
you also
Tim.
like don't like the show because I don't think the like registers without an account.
It doesn't. But if you had,
Oh.
it's not like you have to pay $30 for an account. You just sign in with your Gmail account.
Okay.
You've never done that
And-
before. To YouTube.
And Tim, you can hear me out. You can download things and then so you don't have to use Wi-Fi like on a plane.
I'm not downloading anything.
Oh my god. Okay, never mind.
I'm not downloading
Okay,
anything.
sure.
No, thank you.
What do you mean?
I will stream, thank you.
Yeah, but for an airplane, like you can download like a 3-hour something, and it's
For
like
an airplane, I can listen to my podcasts
Which you had to download.
or play those games on the headset or have a nap.
Oh, like Tambo did?
Yeah, I did too. But a
Tambo
different one.
Tambo got really invested in that like video poker game he was
Trivia?
playing for no
Which-
money.
He was very upset that it was rigged in his favor.
He's like, I feel like it's letting me
it's
win.
too easy. Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
of course it's letting you win. There's no money on the line. Of course they want you to be happy. They don't want you leaving the plane and going, I can't believe I got aces cracked by King Jack.
Well, that is the award show. We will be back next week with the prop show, the official picks for Super Bowl licks. I love Super Bowl licks, by the way. Just not enough people are calling it that. I think we need to make it a thing.
The logo looks really nice, Geoff.
Is it
It's
the
not quite
is it the Rolling Stones logo? Because it should be for Super Bowl licks.
Tim, where are we next year?
Is
It is back in San Francisco next year.
Okay. I really don't want to have to go there, but I will.
Hey, I went to San
I mean-
Francisco last year, and it was delightful. You're just too scared to go anywhere, Jeff.
This is Santa Clara.
Yeah, you'd probably stay in the nice section of San Francisco.
Yeah, listen, it'd be a dream to have the opportunity to empty my bank account, but I just thinking because the day after the Super Bowl, the league will release like a nice video with the Super Bowl art, which they've gotten better at because we complained for years. It's still generic, but like
But
they're
there's
clearly
some
adding art.
originality.
Yeah,
There's
and
some
like a
originality.
local. They're like this was like a local artist, and I don't know. Apparently, there's like a Mardi Gras thing to it, but it's also green and red, so that's got the conspiracy people nuts again.
And last year it was purple and black, which didn't speak to either team, but
Yeah, I know, but now they're back at it. These like logo colored conspiracy folks.
Well, it's not a conspiracy if it's true now, is it, Jeff?
I guess not.
well,
So
a
next year, I hope
conspiracy
it's
is neither
powder
false
blue.
nor true. It's Honolulu blue.
Honolulu blue. You hope it's green.
I do hope it's green. I would be surprised if it were green for San Francisco.
What's after San Francisco? Back at
Los
SoFi.
Angeles. Los Angeles, and then out to Atlanta.
Will the Bills get a Super Bowl when they open their new
No.
stadium?
Not with the roof, they won't.
But it does have a roof, doesn't it?
No,
It's
it
the
doesn't.
fans are covered. The field isn't.
Oh, okay. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, so no, they won't. Now, Chicago, the one they're building, I don't know if it's got a roof or not. If it does, then Chicago would definitely get one.
All right. Well, we will be back next week for the prop show, and then we'll be back for, I guess, the recap or whatever. The week after that, we'll recap the Super Bowl. Then we'll recap our win totals. Then we'll do the Geoff power rankings of the best teams. So we're not going anywhere just yet. Then we'll be taking a break from this show for a little while, but we will always come back periodically throughout the offseason to discuss NFL news. So please stay tuned and stay stubbed to Mayo Media Network. You can smash the like. And if you're looking for more me and Geoff, you can catch us every Monday on the Golf Pick Show. And if you're looking for Tim Undercust,
Tim and Cust.
That is not my name.
we should be recording some new Cust Corner content pretty soon. And again, leave those topics in the description for Super Bowl related things that Cam, Rob, and I can rank on the Best Bet Show. Your best bets for random things about the Super Bowl. I think that'll be a lot of fun. That's another show that we're trying to do throughout the course of the year, Geoff, that I think that like if we just rotate like every 2 to 3 weeks between this one and the best bets during the off season, I think that will like keep people engaged more during the off season who really are only here for football or for this show in particular that don't care too much about golf. To help out the audience, cater it a little.
Who thought that the big game hunter was coming on to talk about the farmers?
Yeah. Well, that was like one guy. I watch this show every week. Tim is always on. It's like Tim is not on this show. I know what you're talking
The
about.
big game hunter shows up like 5 times a year.
That is true. 6 if you count like Ryder Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Next year, Super Bowl 60.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why this one is Licks.
LIX. And yet, when it was called Live with 54 players, you didn't know that was what Live stood for.
No, I didn't. And I didn't realize that like it's the same as that club in Miami that's called Live. I was like, oh yeah, it's Miami. It's like Studio 54. Like it all clicked in my mind. I don't think I was alone in not realizing it stood for 54.
Really? Okay.
Geoff, did you when they called it Live Golf? Did you think it was called 54 Golf?
No, but I guess that made sense.
Whoever you're texting, you can ask them if they did.
No, I'm in the Super Bowl like host city rabbit hole and who's in the vote for the next one. That's what I'm trying to figure out, but I got lost in the Roman numerals. So I'm confusing myself.
Well, I hope you haven't been confused watching the show. And if you were confused, let me spell it out for you. Code Mayo at Underdog right now. Get you a guaranteed winner pick on Underdog for the Super Bowl. Or hell, you can use it for NBA beforehand if you want to use it that way. And you get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And you support our live show, which we're aiming for June 7th in Toronto. We would love to see you there. Respond to the email. Respond down in the comment section about it. That way we can get a good gauge before we put tickets on sale, which will not be expensive. But we just have to get a head count so we can get the right space for everyone, and we will have more details coming soon. You smash the like, you sub to the channel, and you sub to the audio podcast as well, and support all of our shows. I'll be back on Wednesday with Tambo, and then Thursday with Rob and Cam for the best bets. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.